Have you ever wanted to be able to do the dishes without recalling a faux pas of yours from multiple decades ago? Or complete a load of laundry without thinking about the girl you held hands with once in middle school while watching Dickie Roberts in her parents' basement?
This is nothing but!
How about being able to go shoe shopping for your kids without thinking about what happens after you die?
What do you think happens after you die?
I don't know.
You're lucky.
Well, you've just stumbled across the right video game music podcast, fella. It's Bit Harmony!
You're listening to Bit Harmony, a video game music podcast, and I am Matt, clocking in for my Tuesday down here at the Podcast Factory.
Wow, I'm Seth, putting my hair up in a ponytail with a pink bow. That would be horrific if I did that. I would be an unsightly human, even more unsightly than normal if I did that. I will not do that. But a little Dixie Kong for you there, a little Monkey Bae for you there.
See, I wasn't even going for a Donkey Kong bit. I was going for this is the second day in a row we're recording a Bit Harmony bit.
Yeah.
But if I had jorts and a bandana, I absolutely would be dressed like that. It's very humid and hot in here. I would love some jorts right now.
You ever wear jorts? you ever do that?
It's been a while, but I feel like I had to have owned some jorts at some point.
When I was a kid, jorts were huge. Like there are a lot of pictures of like a sort of 10-year-old Seth, in jorts, and it's funny. I probably have not worn jorts since I was like 12 years old, but but damn, if they were not in the rotation pretty heavily when I was a kid. And it's just at a certain point, I feel like the world kind of decided collectively that jorts were no longer acceptable, and that just kind of permeated.
Yeah, I mean, Funky Kong makes them look good. I don't think I have a problem with jorts. However, yeah, it's best if you're looking, you're looking fit and you got the arms coming out of like a tank top, it looks better like that. But hey, yeah, the reason we're talking about jorts is because today's episode is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I know everyone has been so upset lately about how much incest we've been talking about. This should be about like at least 50% less incest. Funky Kong is a product of incest, but besides God. We should be good.
Yeah, I love the idea that like somebody listening to the podcast for the first time within the first 2 minutes has to hear the phrase Funky Kong is the product of incest.
To be honest, I came up with that phrase in my head while we were recording the Trails in the Sky first chapter episode. I was instantly, I knew within the first couple minutes I had to open with the phrase Funky Kong is the product of incest.
Just looking for your moment to strike. Yeah. Jorts were my way in.
I sent you that video of what's his name, Doc Future doing ASMR, but role playing is Funky Kong picking you up from the airport, right? Yeah, I think that is still. I watched that like a couple times a year. Still, I
good.
Chewing gum the whole way. Oh man, that's comedy. This is what you're here for. You're here. You listen to this video game music podcast to hear about incest and YouTubers making funny videos, not the actual video games or the music.
Yeah, no, we, God forbid, we talk about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, one of the great video games and video game soundtracks ever made.
The time to incest mention watchers out there are going to have a field day with this one. Hey, let's get in here. Our intro this episode is Busted Bayou from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and Tropical Freeze was composed by, of course, David Weiss. We'll talk about all of this and more after the intro. that was Busted Bayou, again from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. To me, there was no other way we could intro this episode than Busted Bayou. The whole soundtrack, as you said before the break, one of the best of all time, I would say. Undeniably top 2 Nintendo soundtracks ever. And yet, Busted Bayou is still so good that this is still like the Tropical Freeze song to me.
Yeah, it certainly is one of them. It's in contention for me. It is definitely the song that I think of when I think of this game. Yeah, it definitely. This is what we call here at Bit Harmony some walking down the street music.
I had that in my notes. Yeah, I hadn't gone there yet, but it's in there.
Very, very good. Very carefree. Very fun. Yeah, this is the juice here.
And we're going to talk about what it meant when David Weiss was confirmed to be returning to compose Tropical Freeze later. But right off the rip, like the music is such a huge improvement in Tropical Freeze coming off of Returns.
Yeah.
And even still, World 1 is pretty tame overall, right? Like it's kind of reintroducing you to Donkey Kong in a platformer context and reintroducing like David Weiss's music stylings to you. Like it's so much more textured and whatever than anything in Returns. Yeah. But even still, World 1 is pretty tame soundtrack wise compared to everything else that comes immediately after it, except for Busted Bayou. This is like the first song in the soundtrack in the game that really just demands that you just sit down and shut up. Like my mouth was agape, even replaying the game a week ago. I still was like, damn, I can't believe he did this. Like between the flutes, the xylophones, the funky bass, and to say nothing of the saxophone, it's crazy. It's a really, really crazy song. And then this level is also one of the not frequently used like silhouette levels in Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze, where you don't see like the normal polygonal model of Donkey Kong in them. Like they're a black shape, and then you just see like their tie or Diddy's hat or whatever colored in. And so this music and this vibe that it's creating, coupled with it being one of these, again, rare silhouette levels, it just creates such a damn vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when Returns came out. I mean, that's a great game. A lot of fun, really good. But the music was a huge disappointment, I think, for just about everybody. Like, it's fine on its own, but like David Weiss is Donkey Kong Country. Like he, his music just is so synonymous with that series. It was hard not to feel disappointed by that. But the personality, I think, with Returns and Tropical Freeze, a lot of it does come from those silhouette levels. Like that really felt new to Donkey Kong. Like, because when you first start playing Returns, you're like, well, like what is it? Like what is the thing here that really is going to differentiate this from the old series? And yeah, then you get to those silhouette levels and you're like, oh, okay, like this is a new, different vibe. And yeah, they always go crazy for the music in these levels. So yeah, I love this. It has such a good like kind of mix of like a reggae rhythm with the drums, like a good surf rock tone on the guitar, just a great like bass line. You got that mouth harp stuff in the background, kind of gives it that nasty Bayou flavor, but then yeah, you have like what you're talking about, like marimba and xylophone and wind flutes that kind of still make it feel like a David Weiss song. And then, that sax comes in at 2:38 and like that's when I come alive. Like it just, that's when it starts to feel like a Donkey Kong song. Like that's where it really kind of, it's like, okay, we're back. We're fully back at that point.
Yeah, 2:38, when that sax hits, it goes from this, again, kind of jaunty walking down the jungle street music to, I don't know how I would describe this. It's almost like a midlife crisis celebration reflection on your life lived past the halfway point. That's what I think when I hear the saxophone in the song. it is so expressive.
Yeah.
But again, it's like a little melancholy, or again, a little like self-reflective maybe, but it also is like, hell yeah, we're still just rocking out here. It's, to me, this song kind of feels like David Weiss's like real return to Donkey Kong, between Donkey Kong. I mean, really, he did not work, I think, on the Super Nintendo version of Country 3 at all. I think it was Evelyn Fisher. He did do the Game Boy Advance version. Like, the Game Boy Advance version has a completely different soundtrack, which is interesting. But still, that's like a good 20 year, I guess more like 10 years between the GBA port of 3 and Tropical Freeze. But it just feels like this homecoming vibe to it. It is, I don't know, it's just joyous. There's so much joy in this whole soundtrack. This to me is like when you really, really first feel it.
Do you think that not to get on like a huge tangent about this or whatever, but do you think that there's a certain part of, I know that for you, Donkey Kong Country, and I think you've even talked about this on the show, is like a huge thing that you associate with your childhood. And is there a part of it for you, do you think, coming into this, hearing David Weiss's music again, being like, and having that feeling like you're talking about, like, we're back, we're still here, I'm an adult playing this, and like we're still out here rocking with DK. Do you think like that is kind of brought into it a little bit too?
I do. I mean, yeah, if you're a listener that hasn't listened to every single episode of Bit Harmony or doesn't remember 2.5 years ago, I think I talked on the very first episode of the show about, like, Donkey Kong Country was the first time I realized I liked music as like a 6-year-old or however old I was at the time. When it was announced at E3, was that 2013? Yeah. That Tropical Freeze was announced, period. It was still, from announcement to the news that David Weiss was coming back, I think it was like a couple hours like before we got that confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing I remember in that time between Tropical Freeze being revealed and finding out David Weiss was back, the main thing I noticed in the footage, I'm like, oh, the music sounds a lot better than Returns. I don't know what they did here. I don't know if it's a different composer. And then when we found out David Weiss was back, that literally, like, that is one of the most exciting announcements from the video game space I've ever had. I would even say it probably is my number one, like, holy moment in video games. And it's just like the composer, right? But it can't really be exaggerated how important David Weiss is to Donkey Kong Country's vibe. Like, as good as like the visuals were at the time for the 3 Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country games, it's the music. I don't really remember. Again, I was a kid, so my perspective is skewed. I don't remember people talking about music in video games before Donkey Kong Country. I know it happened. Like, I know there were nerds in the 80s that loved Mega Man music and Final Fantasy and blah, blah, blah. But like, my mom talked about the soundtrack of Donkey Kong Country. Like, it was this huge shift in, I don't know how like video game music is perceived, I feel like. Not to do the Tommy Tallarico, it was bips and boops before I got involved, I think. But like, it is kind of that moment, at least I think.
No, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's interesting to be able to kind of like track that through line from there to here. And it's just cool, man. Like, it's it does feel like a bit of a homecoming, like a bit of a celebration of like, yeah, isn't it cool that we're all back, that the band's back together and we're here doing this thing. Yeah.
But that's all I had for Busted Bayou. I don't know if you had any other notes you wanted to get out here.
Only other note I have is I wanted to shout out the breakdown that is around 3:17, where the bass becomes very forward and like the guitar is all reverberated like that. That's just a real good little bit of the song. That's another. I mean, there's so many little pieces and moments in this song that just like make me ascend into heaven. Really good stuff.
Ascending to heaven happens multiple times in just the songs like we've selected for this episode, let alone the whole soundtrack. I think it was so funny when we did the song selection for this, because I listed like 6 things that we absolutely had to have, and I'm like, oh, that's most of the sound or most of the break songs already selected then. And yet we're leaving out so much good stuff. But I'm still very happy with the songs that we selected for this. But Genuinely excited to get in here and talk in depth about Tropical Freeze a little bit. But before we do that, do we have any general housekeeping?
Not really. I didn't see any new reviews or comments or anything. Just as a reminder, you can, if you like the show, if you like what we do here, do consider leaving us a 5-star review if you have not already. Very, very helpful. Helps the show get in front of more people. We really appreciate it. And yeah, you can leave a comment on YouTube, on Spotify, whatever. We can shout it out here on the show. We always appreciate that too. I guess housekeeping wise, we should just kind of remind people that we, on Patreon, did a Patreon exclusive mini episode on Sonic R, which I think I listened back to it. It just went live yesterday. I've already listened back to it, or at the time we're recording this anyway. And, I think that's probably my favorite mini that we've ever done. It was just really fun, and obviously the music is really good, but it really does. That mini feels like you get the quintessential, condensed core of bit harmony in an hour in that episode. I feel like that is going to be the new mini that I point everybody to from now on.
Yeah, I'm with you. While I was editing it, I was laughing out loud multiple times. That doesn't usually happen, especially when I'm editing it the same day we recorded. I don't need to hear myself say the same jokes or whatever, but I also don't make myself laugh very often. But I was laughing pretty hard while editing Sonic R. So yeah, I really want to shout out. If you're not on the Patreon, you miss out on a lot of stuff.
Some good stuff.
Exclusive podcasts and whatnot, but Sonic R alone, pretty big one.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, and yeah, you can just get a 7-day free trial if you want to go in there and see what the fuss is about. But I mean, most importantly, you support the show, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, we really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, there's I don't know how many minis at this point. There's 15, 16, 17, I don't know.
Something like that.
Again, if you love this show, you listen to every episode. No, you haven't, unless you're on the Patreon, because there's a lot over there that you've not heard yet. The only other housekeeping thing we really have is postmortem on Trails in the Sky first chapter, our previous episode. Yeah, I don't want to be too navel-gazy, contrary to how I usually am with this show, but yeah, it was just a great episode, and I will not say incest anymore after this last one.
The last time that word will ever be uttered on this podcast.
I wish I could guarantee that.
Yeah, we can't guarantee, especially with second chapter coming out. We certainly cannot guarantee that. I mentioned this, I think, on the Sonic R mini, but I'll just mention it here on the main show. I did send that episode to Gung Ho, the publisher of Trails in the Sky, and we'll see if they listen to it. We'll find out.
I get it. You're just hoping, oh yeah, these guys are very dedicated and they made a 3-hour podcast on Trails in the Sky first chapter. Let's just send it over to them. But oh boy, yeah, if you actually listen to it,
I mean, we love the game.
We love the game, and also we went hard for incest.
perhaps too hard. Yeah, it was a very fun episode though, and I'm just really glad that we did that episode, because I feel like that is a perfect example of a game it is not often. In fact, I don't know if it's ever happened on the show where you and I are going into a franchise for the first time and talking about it together for the first time like that. Usually we're pretty familiar already with the games that we're playing, and if it's not that, it's something that is brand new that we're playing, Dench Attack or whatever. So yeah, just cool for us to both be coming into Trails for the first time with this game, and to get to have that big in-depth conversation about it. That's my favorite part about doing this show, is that feeling after the episode's over of oh, okay. I feel like I can close the book on that game. I just had a nice, meaty conversation about it, and I can move on.
I never thought about it, but yeah, you're right. I think that is probably the first time we've covered a long running series on this show that neither of us were familiar with until this most recent entry or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. What other obscure stuff can we get into?
Let us know. Yeah, I would look. I'm happy to. There are a few. I was looking at some old RPGs. I think I was telling you I was looking to play that Rhapsody game, and so there are a few like older RPGs that I want to go back and look at that I missed. So we'll see.
RPGs are interesting. This is a bit behind the curtain for anyone listening, but for a video game music podcast, RPGs often have like the most music, obviously, to like take from, and often the music is fantastic. But also, it's hard to cover them in our format because I insist that like at least one of us play the entire thing, right?
Right.
So we can actually talk. It's more of like a book club format mixed in with music stuff. So that's always the risk with that. Also, why we don't cover as many RPGs. Like my dream is to cover Chrono Cross. I've never played Chrono Cross. I've owned the Switch port for like 3 years now.
Me too.
Just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah.
Yep, I would love to. We even were talking about doing that for a potential like kind of summary thing, because that game has a kind of summery choral vibe. I think you dubbed the term choral punk. Was that I always liked, and I would love to get to that at some point.
Promise has been made. We'll be doing Chrono Cross eventually, maybe if we live that long. Yeah,
we'll find out.
Speaking of meaty conversations, let's get to the Sean Capri presents the state of the Nintendo Music Address. And again, I always forget to like fill people in if they're new here. This is just the segment of the show where we talk about the last couple weeks of Nintendo music drops on the app that Nintendo has. In the past couple weeks, we've had a very Mario-focused couple of drops, or few drops here. We had Mario Sunshine and Mario Odyssey free roam tracks from Mario Kart World. Then we just had vanilla ass Super Mario Sunshine added.
Vanilla ass Mario Sunshine.
And then just today we had Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World free roam tracks from Mario Kart World. We will now commence with the reading of the Mario Kart World composers.
Let us pray.
Mario Kart World was composed by Atsuko Asahi, Maasa Miyoshi, Takuhiro Honda, and Yutaro Takakuwa.
Amen.
Yeah, Zanmai. I think there might only be like one more batch of free roam tracks based on what I was seeing people say. I think it might literally just be Mario Kart 8 free roam tracks left.
Okay.
So maybe one day I can stop reciting the composer list.
Yeah. Someday we'll be free. We can get back to having more interesting things. And I really don't want to sound like a spoiled brat when I say that, because yes, of course, Mario Kart World soundtrack is amazing. I'm happy it's on here. It's just like, man, we are really dragging this thing out, huh?
And we can just lump in the two Mario Kart World drops into one conversation here to save time. I'll say this is when I realized they didn't do that good of a job, to me personally, with the Mario Sunshine rearrangement. I really didn't vibe that much with them. And I'm like, this is Mario Sunshine. This should have been like the easiest conversion over to Mario Kart World free roam stuff, right? But I was pretty unimpressed with Mario Sunshine, and Mario Odyssey's rearrangements are pretty good. It was really 3D Land and 3D World where I'm like, okay, damn, yeah, they really brought the juice for these two.
Yeah, there's some real good stuff for 3D Land and 3D World, which I also feel like are pretty well poised. Like, those soundtracks are already pretty sort of big band, swing kind of stuff, and I feel like that's probably a little bit easier to translate over to the kind of Mario Kart World style. But I will say, shout outs to one of the moments that I still think about when playing Mario Kart World. I was going to, I'd played the game in free roam for whatever, a couple hours or something. I went to turn the game off. I just went back to the main menu, and my character, my little blue Yoshi with the damn leather glasses, the leather jacket and black sunglasses on his motorcycle. And it was like sunset near like the Daisy, like the salty seaport or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's just riding around. And it was the first time I had heard the electric guitar arrangement of Break Free, Lead the Way from Mario Odyssey. And dude, like it made me like emotional. Like even just seeing that, I was like, oh my god, this is great. It was like it sounds like a Fooly Cooley like moment or something. It's really good stuff. And I didn't even realize that song was in the game until that moment. And for me, Mario Kart World like thrives in moments like that when these arrangements and like this music just hits you at the right time when you're doing free roam. Like that is when Mario Kart World for me really sells itself as something that is more special in a different way than just like the Mario Kart 8 experience. So
right. Yeah, and obviously we don't need to relitigate Mario Kart World. It gets a lot of hate in the modern Twitter age of like negative engagement makes me money kind of thing. Because I get that. I get why people might be disappointed with Mario Kart World, but in terms of, for me, really, Mario Kart World's free roam, it just needed some tweaks, and I would be saying this is my favorite, at least single player Mario Kart ever. It just needed, and they fixed some of this. They added like more easily trackable, like what you've missed, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But it just, I would have liked a little bit more like meat on the bone, or like hook to get into me besides just liking driving around and listening to the music. But like that alone was enough for me to play like 30 hours of the free roam, just basically just listening to the music and occasionally like doing the P-switch challenges or whatever like that was good enough for me to play like 30 hours. It's just kind of like, I don't need an Ubisoft open world collectathon thing, but I would have liked a little bit of something. I still contend they should just let you unlock the characters by finding them in the free roam.
Totally
like,
agree. Yeah.
Even like have like dialogue and like NPCs, and you like roll up on a Koopa Troopa village, and that's how you have to race one, and that's how you get him as a playable character or whatever. Just small stuff like that would have done so much for me. Like, yeah, just give me more reasons to keep just playing the free roam mode, because I don't really care anymore about like racing online anymore kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, in terms of these music drops, like I said, Sunshine kind of brings down the Mario Sunshine and Odyssey pairing. But yeah, 3D Land and 3D World are fantastic. I really, really, really forgot how good like the Snow Mountain from 3D Land rearrangement was. Also, the beach theme was super good. Man, 3D Land in general, I kind of forget how good of a soundtrack that is. Because
it is, yeah.
When I'm in the mood to replay that era of Mario, I usually just gravitate towards 3D World because it's on Switch. I don't have to bust out a 3DS or whatever. But 3D Land is really, really cool. I really loved that game a lot at the time. And then the elephant in the room, the vanilla-ass Mario Sunshine, composed by Koji Kondo and Shinobu Tanaka. I think I called this like a month ago on the show that they
I think
would
so
be
too. Yeah.
saving the NSO drop of Mario Sunshine on the GameCube app for August, and then also dropping Mario Sunshine OST and the Mario Sunshine Mario Kart World arrangements. It's weird to give this much love to like the worst Nintendo game from like the GameCube forward. Okay, I guess I can't say that. I actually like Mario Sunshine. I've played like 4 hours of it on the GameCube app in the past week. That's also about where I just want to kind of clock out with it, really. I'm like, yeah, I played all of Rico Harbor and whatever. Like, I'm good. I don't need to play anymore. I don't need to do the damn like hotel and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad. Mario Sunshine soundtrack is very good. I don't know that I like hold it on or I put it on a pedestal the way some other people do, but
Right.
like, yeah, Gelato Beach, amazing, fantastic, like the best video game summer vibes ever, I think, besides maybe like Final Fantasy X. So I don't have any like real complaints about it, but I'm not like jacked about Mario Sunshine being on here.
Yeah, Mario Sunshine to me, when it comes to the music anyway, because I think that people understand that the game itself is pretty divisive or whatever. When it comes to the music, though, I think that people get really sort of stuck on, whatever, one or two really good songs. Like, everybody talks about Delfino Plaza or Gelato Beach or is it like Peanut Park or whatever. Everybody like gets stuck on those kinds of songs, and yeah, they're great. really, really great. But the rest of the sound, I mean, the vast majority of the soundtrack is kind of just okay. Like, it's not an amazing, all killer, no filler kind of soundtrack, and the game itself is not very good either. So I don't know. I wasn't like stoked about. I'm glad it's on here. I think that it should be on here, but it didn't like blow my hair back.
I do also want to shout out. Part of the reason I love the Nintendo Music app is just seeing like the screenshots that they get for each song that they're representing, and then also seeing like official names for some of these songs. We talked about this on like the Fire Emblem, Engage episode or something, not episode, but Nintendo Music Drop. Some of the song names are insane, and I wanted to shout out that for there's a cutscene early on in the game where they discover like the slop that's on the ground that Mario has to clean up.
Yeah.
And the title of it is Icky Goop Movie, and I just really like that name. In the cutscene, I think one of the Toads is like, "What's this icky paint like goop?" And then Toadsworth is like, "No, boys, don't touch that." I really like Toadsworth. It's a damn shame they've erased Toadsworth from existence.
Yeah, R.I.P. Toadsworth, dude. Yeah, they killed him. He's done. He's out.
He retired in Rogueport. He met that other old toad lady. He's good now.
I think he got killed. I think he had a much more grisly end. I think Nintendo sent some people after him. The Pianta Mafia took him out.
I mean, again, with just that now, boys, like he kind of talks like a 1920s like Prohibition era mobster.
Even Bowser's voice in that game is crazy.
Yeah, it is. My wife and I, we always do the end cutscene where Bowser, we imitated at each other. It's Junior, I have something to tell you about Princess Peach. Like we always do that to each other. I don't know why.
Yeah, that was the pre Kenny James era where like now. I mean, here's what I'll say about Mario Sunshine. I do appreciate that tonally we were in a place with Mario back then still where it was not this kind of like, I don't know, Disneyification of Mario as a franchise where now the characters largely don't even talk at all, including Bowser, which is fine, but I feel like I feel like there's a certain sanitation that has happened with Mario in a post-Sunshine era. And if nothing else, Sunshine is certainly not a sanitized video game. So I do appreciate that about it, at least. I don't think the game itself is very fun or exceptionally well designed, but I still I don't like hate the game. I still like it. But it does represent, I think, kind of like the last vestige of a bit of a weirder Mario that I miss.
Yeah, I think the problem with the story of Sunshine is that it just didn't go far enough. Like in 2002, this is coming out like alongside like Sonic Adventure 2 or shortly after Sonic Adventure 2. Again, not saying that Sonic Adventure 2 has an amazing story either, but like to a 12 or 13-year-old kid that is like looking for like a little bit more. Yeah. Again, I'm not one of these people saying Mario needs a story. However, clearly someone wanted to give Mario some kind of a story. And I feel like we talked about this probably with like the Galaxy episode we did, but I do feel like Galaxy hits a nice middle ground of sanitized Mario, but there's still a little bit of substance here with the story. And then it ends with the universe being destroyed and reborn. Like there's at least like, there's a something there as opposed to this just kind of nothing thing. And then the final boss, spoilers, is Bowser in a jacuzzi in the sky, which is cool imagery. I really like that Mario just shows up in this giant space jacuzzi to rescue Peach, but it also feels real weird as like a final boss fight to this game or whatever. I don't know. Hey, I guess we will never need to do a Mario Sunshine episode because we basically just did it right here in the middle of this Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze one.
Sorry, everybody.
When it comes to a rating, I'm really hovering between a C- and a D+. I want to say 3D Land and 3D World. I know you have kind of recently made the claim that you're trying to not let Mario Kart World influence your ratings. In this case, it kind of has to be.
Because otherwise you're just rating Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, which is not very good. I think 3D Land and 3D World, I'm going to allow it to bump it up to a C- for me because those arrangements are super good. They are genuinely some of the best in Mario Kart World.
I'm going to stick to my guns, and I am effectively just going to rank Mario Sunshine. With that being said, I don't think that it's like D territory. I think I'm going to go C- overall. And I do hope that this, this ushers in a new era of us giving our Nintendo Music ratings more of a bell curve than they've had for the past few months, thanks to the tyranny of Mario Kart World kind of giving everything an objective bump, I feel like. So this is how I fight. This is how I fight back.
I'm just ready to get back to like weirder stuff being
Me too.
added. Where's my like F-Zero GX soundtrack
No
and stuff,
kidding.
right? Like that's what I want. But again, yeah, we've bemoaned the Mario Kart World situation for a while, and it's also so funny because this is like the best stuff on Nintendo Music, but we're complaining about it despite the fact that we also love it.
And hey, we say this all the time. This is not like a serious segment. We're just messing around here. We're just having fun. Don't take this too seriously. It's not that big of a deal.
Most of the direct commentary, the direct feedback I get is I love the Nintendo Music segment. So
isn't that funny?
We're stuck doing this segment till we're 90 or Nintendo runs out of music.
Yeah, whatever happens first. Either Nintendo runs out of music or I die.
Or we had to start like retreading. We had to go back. We had to listen to our old podcasts to find out what Nintendo Music added, and then we re-rate them like 15 years later. That's also what could happen. Yeah, those are the only options.
Please God, no.
So we'll be back to revisit Super Mario Sunshine and these Mario Kart World drops in like 8 years or so. But until then, that has been the Nintendo Music segment for this episode. Let's go on a break for Windmill Hills and Fruity Factory from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and we'll be right back. And again, that was Windmill Hills and Fruity Factory. With Windmill Hills, I know, again, you're going to hear the word joyous a lot. We already mentioned it with Busted Bayou, but that said, I do think Windmill Hills is kind of the most joyous song in the game to me. As much, again, we talked about it just a little bit ago, as much as I love Busted Bayou, both as a song and a level and the silhouette aspect of it, it still was taking place in this, more standard Donkey Kong world, like this jungle-ish level or world. Windmill Hills is the first level of the second world, which is very like Central Europe and Bavaria inspired. And I love that theming. Like, again, Donkey Kong Country 3 is mostly that too. It's very lakes and mountains focused. I love that about Donkey Kong Country 3, and I love that about World 2 and Tropical Freeze. But like when you're watching the opening cutscene of this level and like the camera's zooming through all these enemies and the start of the song is going, even describing it right now, I'm getting teary-eyed. It's so good. Like this might be my favorite level in a side-scrolling platformer ever.
It's really good. Well, and it's funny because I feel like this isn't this the first stage of World 2, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it is. World 2, I feel like is, and I hope we can get more into this a little bit later. World 2, I feel like, is kind of the introduction a little bit of the kind of, I don't know, like almost environmental themes of Tropical Freeze. Like there's a real kind of like why are we logging and freezing over this natural world, and there's a little bit of like that in the game. It's a Donkey Kong game, so it doesn't have super serious themes, but it does make me think of like an environmentally friendly message. And there's something about this song that feels like we're kind of like we're saddling up on a horse and we're going on an adventure You know, like this reminds me of do you remember there's a scene in Django Unchained of all things where Django and Dr. Schultz they get up on horses and it's playing I've Got a Name, that Jim Croce song where it's I've got a name, I've got a name, and they're like just riding off into the sunset on a horse together. That's what this song makes me think of. Like it's just it's just so like it's so cheerful, it's so happy and upbeat. It's got all of your banjos, your harmonica, you know, all that stuff. But really what does it for me is at 121 the whistling.
Like I had that exact thing. Like that's really when it gets me.
Like could this be any more cheerful, dude? Could this be any more just like we are just like on an adventure? And again, it's funny because it's juxtaposed, like it's a very pastoral kind of level, but again, for me, this is almost like a bit of a juxtaposition where World 2 is revealing a little bit of like deforestation and stuff even. And so it's just funny to have that kind of, kind of playing in the background of it.
Yeah, that the whistling followed up immediately after by the banjo.
Yeah.
It feels like a jam band hanging out. Like, yeah, like a traveling band going through the mountains and whatever. Like just having a good time together. This song, coupled with the theming of it being, again, this like Bavarian vibe happening. I don't know. It feels so friendly, but yeah, you're right. There's like these subtle background elements of, yeah, the snowmads are really logging the hell out of this place.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll for sure get more into like environmental themes, I think in World 3 and 5 specifically. But yeah, in terms of this song specifically, I don't have too many other notes that we haven't already talked about. But again, I just really want to emphasize that how explosive of an opener this is, going from World 1, which again, it just feels more bog standard Donkey Kong, and then you get this. It is such a, like, World 1 almost feels like a tutorial world at that point. It's like, oh, now we're getting to the meat of the game. Like, now we're seeing what, like, a new Donkey Kong Country game is. Because even Returns, which came out from Retro Studios a couple of years before this, again, it was just playing the hits. It was doing, Factory World and Minecart World and Jungle World. And there was really no surprises in Returns. Whereas here immediately in World 2, they're like, nope. The rest of the game, we're just throwing you curveballs.
Yeah. And it just goes up from there. Yeah, it's amazing stuff. Well, even like, I even just love the little like environmental changes that happen. Like even just, I think we've talked about this maybe in relation to Mario Wonder even, but like the way that these levels like kind of change and like almost adapt around you, like, it's pretty amazing. It's still pretty amazing.
Yeah, replaying this again. I even started replaying it before we'd even recorded Trails in the Sky. So I've been replaying it off and on for like 2 weeks. Still so impressed by all these set piece moments, because that's really the thing that separates out Donkey Kong in general from Mario. I feel is that there's way more sense of like place and scale and set pieces happening. Even as early as the original Donkey Kong Country, there's more of that going on. That that feeling only got bigger as you get further and further in and now at Tropical Freeze, where you'll be platforming like through tornadoes and stuff, right? Like, there's so much cool stuff in here, and like almost every single level is like a big thumbs up for me as a platformer fan. Really, the main exception would be like half of World 4 because it's such an underwater focused world, but we can talk about that in a little bit. With Fruity Factory, speaking of really cool themes, this is from World 5, the whole like jungle that's being harvested for fruit to turn them into giant popsicles at the end.
Good.
And you see the progression as you go. Incredible stuff. But Fruity Factory specifically, with this first main break, I wanted to really run the gamut from like cheerful and more melodic and melody focused, and then to this kind of more classic Donkey Kong Country, like moody track, because that's really where Donkey Kong Country music made its mark for me. Is it's there's not often like super happy melodic stuff in the original Donkey Kong Country games. It's more stuff like this that stick out.
Right. Yeah. Like there's moody is I guess the right word, but it's like this combination of like majesty, but also like fear. Like this, this thing is majestic and awe-inspiring, but also scary. That I think this taps into. And I think Donkey Kong Country's always had a good sense of that. It's like even, like you said in the beginning, like Donkey Kong Country, just like the rain and stuff, like it's so evocative. And in this, it's like you get the jungle and the animal noises and stuff. But really for me, especially listening to this with nice headphones, like the openness of the sound really stuck out to me. Like really, I don't know, it just fills the space. Like you can really feel the marimba like shaking off of the tree canopy or something. Like so good. I love all of that. It also has a little bit of that 90s educational energy, like the kind of thing you'd hear in like a Zoo Books commercial. You remember Zoo Books?
I do. I remember seeing those commercials on Nickelodeon all the time.
Yeah, and they were really just like, just little info magazines about animals, but we were pretty stoked about them. Pretty cool.
I never had a subscription, but I remember I think my library at my elementary school had them, and we checked them out sometimes. But yeah, it's funny. It is kind of the commercials that stick out to me more than the actual Zoo Books. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was like you'd always see them at like the dentist, Zoo Books on the dentist table or whatever, and yeah, this is what it made me like the music in those commercials, to my memory anyway. I haven't gone back and looked at them, but to my memory, they have this energy.
Yeah, now I'm kind of curious to go listen or rather watch a Zoo Books commercial. But yeah, that like 90s and even like late 80s feel, I also noted that because to me, when it does like those little vocoder spots, like there's a couple bits where I'm like, oh, this just sounds like Phil Collins.
Little talk boxy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like, which is also really weirdly appropriate for Donkey Kong Country music to me. And again, this time period that it's trying to evoke or whatever. But I don't have too many other notes on this song specifically. Like I said, I just really wanted to get at least one of these really, really atmospheric songs in here. We got a couple ones that are more atmospheric too, but this is just one of my favorites. And I get real excited to talk about World 5 specifically, and obviously we're going to get there in a little bit too, but what a creative use of like theming. Like again, a whole jungle that each level as you go, you're seeing more of the process of how they make popsicles. You don't even know that that's what they're making at first,
right?
But you see it by the end. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah, no. I think that World 5, and like I know we'll talk more in depth about this kind of stuff later, but that is like the total thesis of like what this game does so well. Yeah, that's kind of like the exclamation mark on Tropical Freeze to me, and then World 6 is kind of like the epilogue to me. Again, not to diminish it, I still love World 6, great platforming, but it can't live quite up to how amazing World 5 is. With that said, then, are you ready to start talking more in depth about Tropical Freeze? I am funky over here, ready to get into funky mode, dude.
Yeah, you got your jorts and your bandana.
I got my jorts all revved up and ready to go, dude.
Hey, I actually got to be picked up from the airport in a few hours, so. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a side-scrolling platformer originally released for the Wii U in 2014. It did get ported to the Switch in 2018 with, as Seth alluded to a second ago, the new funky mode was added. It's so funny that they really went out of their way to advertise the funky mode. It really is like the only new thing they added to the Switch version. It's just playable Funky Kong. We can talk about that in a little bit when we get to the other characters, but it's basically just like an easy mode in the game, but they called it funky mode instead of easy mode, essentially.
Right.
He's just a more accessible character. This is the 5th Donkey Kong Country game, as well as the direct sequel to 2010's Donkey Kong Country Returns. Tropical Freeze and Returns are both developed by Retro Studios, aka the Metroid Prime people, as opposed to Rare, the developers of the Super Nintendo games. And I don't know about you, I remember the reaction to Retro being the developer of these games.
Oh, yeah.
Both Returns and Tropical Freeze was pretty not kind at the time. And mostly I remember being filled with people being like, well, where's Metroid Prime 4?
Right. Yeah, and then we got Prime 4, and look how that went.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like I said, I remember a lot of Metroid Prime 4 whataboutisers out there. And then also a lot of people being like, well, I heard that they were working on like a Ocarina of Time spin-off starring Sheik or whatever.
Yeah, they were working on a lot
game?
of weird stuff. Like they at one point had there was that. There was like the Sheik spin-off. There was a totally new game called like Raven something. Project Raven maybe. And then they also, one that I was really interested in, they were making a Boo game for the DS. Where you play as a Boo, and I'm like, that would have been cool.
Huh. I don't think I've ever even heard of that one. I remember, were they the ones that pitched like it was like Final Fantasy Tactics, but with Zelda characters? I think also for the DS.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could have been cool, but it's just funny when people complain about this stuff as if like Tropical Freeze isn't the best side-scrolling platformer ever made, and as if Returns isn't also very good for what it is. To be fair to people in like 2010 and 2013, 14, we were at this weird point with Nintendo where they were releasing a lot of side-scrolling platformers, you know. Shortly before Tropical Freeze, we did get like New Super Mario Bros. 2 and New Super Mario Bros. U like within a couple months of each other.
Yeah, sure.
And I think with how the Wii U was kind of immediately flopping for them, I think there was this big, I don't know, it was like a cultural shift of people being like, well, Nintendo, you need to understand that side-scrolling platformers, you had your brief little revival on the Wii with them,
yeah,
but we don't want them anymore. Like, you're giving us this new console, this more powerful console. We want to see new stuff and not like another Donkey Kong Country game from Rare. And I will admit, when this was first revealed, I was like a little disappointed, but that's less for what it is and more so for the fact that like Returns didn't land for me as hard as I wanted it to. Again, it's still a really good game, but I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, I didn't really want a direct sequel to Returns, but what we ended up getting was fantastic, even regardless of the David Wise soundtrack anyway. So I think overall everything was fine, but it's kind of a nice reminder, or not nice reminder, I guess, of just how nasty people could be at like the slightest bit of information without knowing basically anything.
It's always been that way. Like it is literally always, people have always been reactionary. People have always just kind of like had these knee jerk, takes on things that they immediately bristle at. But I mean, for me, like, I was in on the Wii U just because I'm a Nintendo fan, and like, even if all Nintendo did, I'm not saying I want this, but if all they did for the rest of time was just, if they just were the 2D platformer Mario and Donkey Kong people, like, I'd actually be okay with that. Like on a personal level. Again, not that I want it, but like I kind of knew what I was signing up for. So for me coming into the Wii U, I was like, well, I'm going to get a Wii U because this is where I'm going to get Nintendo games, and nothing else really mattered to me. And yeah, like, while I didn't love Returns, I still liked it enough to be excited about a new Donkey Kong Country game. And I've never been one of these people that's like, oh, just let, Retro work on Metroid Prime until the end of time. I never really like that, just in general, when studios get just kind of relegated and put into their little, put Retro in the Metroid Prime hole and never let them come out. I don't like that. One thing I do remember was the notion of, like an American, team, like an Austin, Texas based team, taking on Donkey Kong. I remember that being like a weird thing, as if the place that a studio is like stationed in the world should have anything to do with that. I mean, I do think that there is like a tone, especially when you compare it to something like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I do think has a more Japanese tone, being developed in Japan or whatever compared to this. Because the thing is already established, I think that there are certain tonal consistencies that are just always going to be present. And I just thought it was very weird. I remember people being hung up on that.
Well, what's funny about that is I really got into games in 2001 with the launch of the GameCube. That's when I started buying like magazines and I started reading the trades, being informed, and people were complaining that an Austin, Texas-based developer was touching Metroid. How dare Nintendo give this to Metroid or give Metroid to these people? And then, 10 years later, it's the same thing, but Donkey Kong, like, as if Donkey Kong is as like storied and beloved a franchise with the hardcore crowd as like Metroid is. Like, that's weird already. But also, you already have forgotten your own history that you were complaining about this. It's very weird, and it's also bordering on, I wouldn't quite say racism, because I think most of the people making these complaints are also Americans anyway, and not like Japanese people.
Yeah,
but it does border on like Japanese like fetishism, like only Japanese developers could make a Donkey Kong game, which is also stupid because again, Rare is British. They're a British studio,
right?
So these games that you love so much in your childhood, they didn't come from Japan anyway. It's very baffling to me, that argument. Also, I think it's really cool that Donkey Kong, they started in Japan, then a British developer took over for him for a while. Then an American studio took over, and now it's back in Japan. I think that's really neat. And also with Bonanza, I will say they did fix Donkey Kong's design. I think the worst part about replaying Tropical Freeze is having to see the old Donkey Kong design.
That was a bit of a culture shock. Yeah, going back to that old design, being like, oh man, it really did kind of sell for me like how much I prefer the new DK design, to the point where like I almost wish they would release like a Switch 2 edition of Tropical Freeze that just literally just redoes Donkey Kong's design. Just put the new designs in there, and I would probably just buy it again.
I love the idea of spending like $5 just to put a different Donkey Kong model in. It reminded me of when the Virtual Console was new, and someone was like, I don't want to play these old games, but if you just gave Mario a new colored hat, I'd probably buy him.
I'd probably do it.
I think that was like Mark McDonald at 1UP or someone that said that.
Yeah,
but it's true. Us Nintendo fans, we just want to give them money. And
I've said it before, and I'll say it until the day I die. I just like seeing different kinds of Kongs.
Yeah. So Tropical Freeze, it is very similar structurally to Donkey Kong Country Returns, but with the benefit of developers being more familiar with making a Donkey Kong Country game and also being on much more powerful hardware. You do have obvious differences between Returns and Tropical Freeze, like more playable characters like Dixie Kong and Cranky Kong, as well as, again, Funky Kong that was added to the Switch version instead of just Donkey and Diddy. But I think the biggest change going from Return to Tropical Freeze was really the bigger emphasis on like an almost 3D camera. It is like still a side-scrolling game, but even while playing it, especially in like some of the minecart and rocket barrel levels, they really swing the camera around in interesting ways. I remember that's what they were really talking about when promoting the game back in 2013, saying, we could not have done this camera work on the Wii, at least with as smooth as we can now on the Wii U. And it's interesting. Like some of these rocket barrel levels, it turns into like a behind the shoulder camera when you're playing them. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And it's also interesting that like that is such a big deal for them, that like that it's funny when you track the progression from this to DK being eventually fully in 3D. It is really funny to be like, oh man, like they were thinking about that, and like even just the ways they can turn the camera perspective was like stuff that was interesting to them even back then. Whereas I think that if they had never done any of that, I don't think it would be a point lower on anybody's review scale, but for them, that was something that made it cool and interesting. And I agree. It is kind of cool to see, I don't know, that kind of it just adds to that. We talked about it, like that sense of scale and, I don't know, like immersion in the level. There's just something to that. Like it makes the level feel more textured and more like you could reach in and touch it, beyond it just being like a 2D thing you're seeing on your screen.
It is cool to like start a level fully side scrolling view, and then like it, as you progress like in a minecart level, it tilts to like almost isometric, and then at one point it's like fully behind you and it's almost like a top down view kind of.
Right.
I think that's in like the fourth world minecart level. It is neat, and yeah, I feel like people don't think about how neat it is, but you never see this kind of stuff in 2D platformers, like this staying 2D basically, but still playing with the camera in interesting ways. I think I don't know, it's like such an underrated aspect of Tropical Freeze, and I think does overall help it stand out a lot from Returns in ways, but again, in like a weird, subtle way. But otherwise, yeah, this does play very similarly to Donkey Kong Country Returns. The setup is that the Snowmads show up. They're like this group of like kind of winter and ice themed animals or anthropomorphic animals like penguins and walruses and whatever. They show up and they freeze Donkey Kong Island with a magic horn that also blasts the heroes away, a few islands away, and then you kind of got to island hop your way back to Donkey Kong Island, reclaim your home, and beat the Snowmads. So you'll be platforming through, again, these very set-piece oriented side-scrolling levels. You only have to get to the end of each level to progress, but you also have optional Kong letters to collect and puzzle pieces along the way to grab. The puzzle pieces are fully optional. They just unlock concept art, and some of them are like genuinely annoying. So I don't really mess with the puzzle pieces when I replay this game.
Right.
I have 200% of this game like 3 times now in my life. I just feel like that's enough. I don't need to do it again.
Good. Yeah.
But the Kong letters, though you don't need them to progress the main levels, you do need to find all of them in every level to unlock like the temple level at the end of each world, and thereby the final set of 3 levels or whatever. Very worth finding if you're up for the challenge, because that's like the best platforming levels in the game. Are these temple levels. Genuinely worth playing the game just for that stuff alone. What is it? The World 2 temple level is called like Bopopolis.
Yeah.
And the whole level is just built around either doing short hops or big hops off of enemies. That also introduced into like my nomenclature the idea of, if I'm jumping off an enemy, I can call that a bop. Like I think I named like Mario Maker levels bop something because of this level.
Yeah, it does. It almost feels like you have to develop in that level in particular so much like muscle memory. And it almost like really requires the use of like Dixie Kong or somebody that can give you a little bit more of that. Yeah, that kind of aerial maneuverability. I love that stuff. That's one of my favorite stages in the game.
So even though I didn't 200% this replay, I did play like halfway through hard mode. But to give myself a challenge, I'm not using Dixie at all in hard mode. Wow. I'm only playing as Cranky Kong.
Okay.
And this has given me a lot of respect, a lot of newfound respect for Cranky Kong, both as a gameplay device and but also as a character.
And also as a man.
Yeah. Also as a Kong. Yeah. But that's a good segue into the characters themselves. So in Returns and Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong has more like weight and momentum to him than he's ever had before. Really, the platforming relies a lot on the fact that you can like roll at any time. It's almost like an immediate like forward momentum dash thing. And you can also like roll off of an edge of a platform, but still jump in midair as long as you're still in the middle of the roll. That isn't new for these games. That's been around since Donkey Kong Country. But it is, again, very noticeable in these retro-developed games because he just feels so damn heavy. But again, that's not a complaint in this case. I love the feeling of weight and momentum that DK has in this, and no other platformers to me feel how Tropical Freeze feels because of that. But it is something that you have to get used to. And then the other playable Kongs are Diddy. He has a jetpack that briefly lets you hover and get a little bit more horizontal distance. You have Dixie, who can twirl her ponytail, and that gives you a little bit of extra lift and verticality. She is hands down the best of like the normal, the non-funkies. She is not even in question the best. And then Cranky Kong can bounce on his cane like a pogo stick, kind of like in DuckTales, how you could bounce off of Scrooge McDuck's walking stick, or cane rather. This gives you more height than a normal jump, and you can also bounce off of like enemies and even like obstacles that would normally hurt you, like spike platforms or enemies that are spiky or whatever. I mean, yeah, we kind of talked about it already, but yeah, Dixie hands down the best. I never take Diddy unless I have to. Like, he's just a worse Dixie in every way. And then, yeah, like I said, Cranky, I found to be just a powerful ally. I really, really genuinely have been enjoying pogoing my way through the whole game. Oh, I forgot the whole reason I brought that up in the first place. Cranky actually makes Bopopolis so much harder because, yeah, he doesn't have a like a jump assist like Diddy and Dixie do. And his bop, if you don't time it right, can actually mess you up a lot in that level. That is actually hands down been my hardest or most deaths this revisit is Bopopolis as Cranky Kong.
Yeah, I imagine you could probably like jump too high with them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, for me, Dixie is easily my favorite. She's always been my favorite character in this whole series, really. I think we even talked about Dixie maybe a little bit more in detail when we did the DKC2 episode like forever ago. But here she just is objectively better. I don't even know why you would ever play with Diddy versus Dixie. Like more mid-air maneuverability, a better version of the pop gun, you know what I mean, like better underwater. Like, just better in every way.
Yeah, Diddy is even kind of the most useless underwater also. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, all of the Kongs have unique underwater stuff, and Dixie's like hair kind of twirls like the propeller on a submarine, so you can like go faster through water, but it doesn't feel like you're out of control the way Diddy's jetpack makes you feel like you're out of control underwater. Yeah, it's they really did Diddy wrong in this game. I'm waiting for the Bonanza follow-up that fixes Diddy, because his Diddy's worth in this household, in the Murray household, has never been this low. I'll tell you that. I've never been a fan of Diddy. I also hate him in Smash Bros, and he was like super busted in Smash 4.
Oh yeah.
And so you always saw Diddy's. It made me so angry. I hated it.
Did I ever send you there's a parody song about that called Can't Beat Diddy Kong?
I don't think so.
It's a parody of Kesha's Die Young, and I normally hate that kind of stuff. It's very like 2005 YouTube or whatever, but in that case, it's actually a pretty good song, but it's all about that. It's about how busted DK was in Smash 4, and it's just like, I gotta send it to you and like it. I'm getting blown up by his peanut pop gun. It's so good. And yeah, like I don't know. For me, you gotta go Dixie in every case. She's so good. But even just like, I mean, I just like her character so much. I just think that she's up there in terms of just like great Nintendo characters in general. I love everything about her character design. I think she's great, and it was cool to see her get such a spotlight in this one. So yeah, that made me happy.
Is this like a fever dream that I had, or did they update the Switch port of Returns to include Dixie?
Oh, did they? I don't remember.
Like as an update, like not even like as a paid thing. It wasn't in the base release, but I think like sometime last year out of nowhere, they're like, hey, we updated the Switch port of Donkey Kong Country Returns and added Dixie. You'll have to fact check me on that, honestly, because I feel like I might have dreamed that. Okay.
Turns HD. I'm Googling it right now. Yeah, with Dixie Kong joining in the fun. I think you're right. This update added Dixie Kong as a playable character, a turbo attack game mode, and game share support and enhancements for the Nintendo Switch 2. Wow.
Honestly, like if that port wasn't so damn expensive for, you know, a nearly 20-year-old Wii game, I would buy it. Now that Dixie's in it, I'm kind of more tempted because I'm like, yeah, at least it's a little different. Again, different hat, different Mario hat, different DK polygon model. Now we got Dixie in here. Doesn't really change much, but it's Dixie Kong.
It's Dixie. Yeah, I've been kind of waiting. Maybe that'll be a good like Black Friday, you know, pickup or something this year.
Yeah. I would love to replay it. It's a little too expensive for what it is for me personally. But again, if you enjoyed the Switch port of Donkey Kong Country Returns, let me know if Dixie is busted there like she is in Tropical Freeze.
She must be, dude. She, especially since that game was not designed with her in mind. I have to imagine it's just so easy with her.
On the conversation of other Kongs, I'm going to drop this final controversial statement. Tiny Kong is better than Diddy Kong. I would rather have the return of Tiny Kong. He's at least cute. It feels like there is an actual thought put into his design of like, yeah, he's like the big dopey baby, but yeah, he's a gorilla, so he's actually a really big baby, right? Diddy just feels like they just put a hat on a monkey and called it a day. Like there's nothing. There's no substance to Diddy Kong.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to turn this into a Diddy Kong, you know, slander, sort of anti-Diddy Kong propaganda. The only thing that, and I think I might have mentioned this even in some form or another, maybe we talked about DKC3 at some point. My only big issue with Kiddy Kong is I don't like that.
Oh yeah, sorry, Kitty. I think I called him Tiny. I meant Kiddy Kong.
Yeah, Kiddy Kong from DKC3. I just don't like that his pajama, his sort of like onesie is too big for him, and so like his feet don't fully fit. I don't like that, but but otherwise, I like Kiddy Kong.
I just appreciate that he's actually wearing pants, unlike anyone else. I guess again, that's Funky. True. I guess that's his uncle, and he's also wearing pants. So that part of the Kong family knows decency, I guess. The inbreds.
Yeah, they have to do a little bit of extra work to be considered civilized. Yeah.
Speaking of characters in the game, we can briefly talk about the Snowmads before we talk more about the actual gameplay. There's not going to be too much to talk about here, but I do remember the main talk at the time. One of the main fandom complaints with Tropical Freeze was that the Snowmads were no Kremlins, and I don't fully agree with that. I don't fully disagree either. It's not like, guys, it's not like the Kremlins have much personality either. You just liked that game a lot 30 years ago. I wonder if now that the Kremlins appeared again in Bonanza, and it was a genuinely cool throwback and return to form.
Super
and whatever.
Cool. Yeah.
Like that is a genuinely cool way they handled bringing the Kremlins back. But like, can we be done now? I mean, again, if you want to bring K. Rool back and stuff, that's fine. But I just mean, can we get over this now? Like, we got the return. Can if they do something different with the next game, can we just let it go, or are people going to still be stuck on the Kremlin thing?
Yeah, and I like. Don't get me wrong. I like K. Rool and Kremlings and all. I like that all a lot too. Like, that's all good. I like it. It is very weird. I can't really think of another Nintendo franchise where people are this hung up on like the enemies, you know, like this, right. Where people are like, that is such a sticking point. Like, these games are not worth playing if K. Rool and the Kremlings are not the villain. Like, that's so dumb.
The only thing I really objectively think is amazing about the Kremlins is the sound design. Like, when you stomp on like the big fat ones and they're like that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Honestly, the sound design of the Snowmads when you kill them, a lot of them are fun in this. Like, I agree that the Tiki Tribe in Returns, they're the most like nothing set of villains ever. I still think there were some clever designs with the fact that everything had to be a damn drum for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but they did what they could with it. But I agree that it was not a good concept. But I think the Snowmads are fine. I agree that I don't even know the final boss. Like, is that Lord Frederick or something?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, yeah, he's not much. But honestly, like the polar bear in World 5, he's pretty cool. Like, he's actually
very cool.
He's kind of cooler than K. Rool, if I'm being honest. I'd rather have him and the giant like spike mallet in Smash than K. Rool. But that's just me.
They're also, I think that the Snowmads are kind of interesting because if you think about it, right, like they are these like they're these Viking like invaders, you know, who come in and yeah, they have this horn that kind of enshrouds DK Island in sort of permanent winter and whatever, and you know, like that I think is already conceptually, visually, the whole thing very cool. But you have to wonder, like, what's the implication there? Like, why are they invading why are they invading other places? And yeah, it probably is to deforest, you know, the place, mine it for resources, use it to make their, you know, their popsicles or whatever, use the fruit there for that. But also, it makes me wonder, and obviously this is a Donkey Kong game, so they've never like explained this in the lore, I'm pretty sure. But is it the kind of situation where the Snowmads are looking for a new place to live because of like you know, like a global warming or something? Like the place that they come from is not habitable for them anymore because they are walruses and penguins and stuff, and they need a cold environment. I'm curious, like there could be something interesting there, and I contend that at several points in this game, and we'll talk about it with one of the breaks specifically, the game does have like an environmental message to it. Obviously it's not very front facing or something, but there is like a little bit of something in here about like kind of the reason why this kind of island is worth saving or taking back from the Snowmads. That is not just, oh, DK wants a bunch of his bananas back.
I was about to say, Seth, they just want the bananas. That's the thing we're saving.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I think on our next break, actually, the song that most made me think about some of these themes is in that break. I mean, there's a part of me, I love environmental storytelling, and not in the way of like graffiti on walls, like like humans lived here once or whatever, like not that kind of environmental storytelling, but yeah, like actually telling a story with like the level design and what's happening in the level and stuff. I think you're totally right that there is some of that here. I would be curious to know, there are weirdly a lot of lore drops in Smash Bros trophy descriptions, but
yeah,
Tropical Freeze was probably too new at the time for there to be Tropical Freeze trophies in Smash 4 on Wii U, but I don't know. I didn't do my research. I don't have the Wii U hooked up or anything.
Sure.
I would be curious to know if there's any kind of like information in Sakurai's trophy descriptions for this stuff. But again, this game probably it was too recent for it to make its appearance there. Let's talk a little bit then about the different islands and worlds. Obviously, we've talked about this a fair bit already, but there are 6 islands in the game. You've got the Lost Mangroves, Autumn Heights, Bright Savannah, Sea Breeze Cove, Juicy Jungle, and DK Island. There is technically a 7th island called Secret Seclusion, but that's like, again, you find all the Kong letters and you beat all the temple levels, and you get a final couple levels that are pretty hard, and beating that unlocks hard mode, in which you get the privilege of playing the game again, but only with one Kong and only with one hit and no checkpoints. And I will say the no checkpoints thing does bother me way more as a 36-year-old man than it did when Tropical Freeze was new. It is tragic to die right at the end of a level because of a dumb, like an enemy just lightly hops into you and then you have to play the
redo the whole thing.
Yeah. We probably don't need to focus too much on this because I think we're going to talk about this more in with regards to the music. But is there any like favorite islands? I would hazard a guess. I could guess your favorite islands based on the fact that they're probably the same as mine, but I'll let you have a go.
Well, I mean, yeah, like we've talked about, World 5, like that I think is kind of objectively like the crescendo of the game,
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. But I will say I do really like World 2 that has a lot of that kind of almost Nordic kind of flavor to it.
Mhm.
And also has like a lot of the that's where like the sawmill and stuff, and you do like effectively a minecart section, but like on a cut log, which I think is a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. I like them all for different reasons. I think that World 3, again, we'll talk about this more when it relates to the music, but I think World 3 has a really cool bit of like storytelling in it. World 4 is kind of like the underwater. I like them all for different reasons, but I think if I had to rank them, I would go 5, 2, 3, 1, 4. I think that would be my ranking.
I think I'm basically the same. I might put 3 above 2 very, very slightly. That's less for the theming and more just how good the platforming is in World 3,
Yeah.
which is probably just a symptom of being further in the game, and so they could let loose more and whatever. When you throw DK Island in there, I'd also put that like relatively high. The platforming in DK Island levels are genuinely really good.
It's really good, yeah.
It's also cool that you all like 8 of the main levels in World 6 are revisiting the different biomes of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Like the 7th level is a factory level because the 7th world was the factory world in Returns and whatever.
Yeah.
I really, really, really appreciate that. I love a direct sequel in a video game where you revisit the previous game's locations, like, Kanto in Pokemon Gold and Silver. I eat that up. Will never not freak out about that, especially when you do it really well. Like here, like revisiting Peach's Castle in Mario Odyssey, very exhilarating at first, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't like that cool. But here in Tropical Freeze, it is a delight to see what they did to like snowify and icify each of these different biome types. It also really serves to underline, like, we haven't really talked about it yet, but like every single damn level in Tropical Freeze has its own like set pieces and mechanics and things. And so to extend that further to the end game, the Donkey Kong Island, where like every level has to have a different look to it entirely and different assets because each one is in a different biome. It's kind of crazy, honestly, that they pulled it off.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So hang on, I got to redo my rankings.
Okay.
So we're doing 5, 2, 6, 3, 1, 4.
Yeah.
That's my ranking.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And I think it's a universal constant that 4 is the worst for everyone. There's just too much water, and I don't like that we had it all in one world mostly. Like there are still some water levels not in World 4, but like most of them are there. It's just kind of it's a momentum killer a bit when you get there. Like again, coming off of World 2 and 3, and then you get to 4, and it's just like you get to slow down, you have to do the kind of awkward water stuff and get air bubbles, and I just want to like platform and not worry about swimming in air. It's also hard because World 5 and 6, but 5 especially is so good that 4 just kind of ends up feeling like this hurdle that you have to get over on a replay at least.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I will say when it comes to World 4, I do like I mean, we'll talk about we have a break coming for Miss Abyss, but I think that stage is really cool. The way that like you go underwater and like it becomes a silhouette. I think that's really neat. I also think that the boss, which is very annoying, but I do like that he's just like a big old puffer fish. Yeah, I don't know. Like I like it, but I do think that it's my least favorite, just objectively.
Yeah, it's the worst world in, again, the best platformer ever made or best side-scrolling platformer ever made. So it's still pretty good. It just especially that open level where you have to find all the keys underwater in the chest. I could just do without that level, even though, again, I think on an initial playthrough, it's interesting to see them do something so different. But on replay is really where it just kind of feels like you're getting in the way of me just going through these platforming levels.
Yeah, and it's also so hard. I think every Donkey Kong game like post DKC2 has a real hard time tackling any sort of like nautical pirate theming, because they already did it pretty perfectly, in DKC2, and so like I'm almost like I almost feel like that's why most of them haven't even attempted it anymore. This one at least has some cool like underwater ruins and stuff, and I can appreciate that, but it's not quite up to snuff with the rest of the game.
I think maybe where the game feels the most half-baked to me is the fact that the only animal buddy in this is Rambi, same as in Returns. Like,
yes,
with how much, because in Returns there were no underwater levels. There are still levels where like you're on the beach and whatever, but water was just a death hazard in Returns. Whereas here you can go like in and out of water in the same level and stuff. So with such an emphasis on water, pretty weird they didn't bring back On Guard, who is also one of the most beloved animal buddies. Like, I think he was in all 3 of the Super Nintendo ones. Like, why not? Why not bring him back here for this?
Yeah, why did they do that? Like why is it? Are they trying to just, again, is this another like sanitation thing where it's like they just want, I mean, obviously they reference the other animal buddies in Bonanza, but like, are they just trying to make it a thing where like Donkey Kong just is associated with Rambi and that's it? Like, even Rambi is, even when you talk about Bonanza, he's even the only one that kind of shows up in that way, like as Cranky's companion. And it just makes me wonder, like, if Rambi has his own little feature at the amusement park and stuff. They're just trying to make all the focus be on Rambi and just like kind of pretend like the other ones don't exist in this new era of Donkey Kong? I'm not here for that.
And also Bonanza, they had a whole area of snake dudes, and maybe that's why they didn't have Radley in it all, because like we have snake dudes, we don't want to also have Radley or whatever. I don't know, but the animal buddy situation in Tropical Freeze was very disappointing for me at the time. I do think that's actually my least favorite aspect of the game, is that having only Rambi in Returns, okay, I can live with that, but yeah, it would have felt like the one final bit of return to form with Tropical Freeze if we at least had like Rambi, On Guard, and I don't know, like Squitter or whatever. I don't know, but a little disappointing. And another reason why I really did want Retro to at least get a trilogy of Donkey Kong Country games made, but kind of seems like that is not going to be the case anymore. Hey, if we all complain about it enough, like the Metroid fans did back then, maybe they will hear us, and then they'll give us a very disappointing follow-up to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
Otherwise, though, before our next break, I did just want to emphasize one last time that the biggest return to form and like the biggest difference from Returns to Tropical Freeze is the return of David Weiss. Not to turn this into David Weiss glazing, we also, talked about him a ton on the Donkey Kong Country 2 episode, if you want to go back and listen to that one. But I do remember reading an interview with David Weiss where he said that they did approach him to do the soundtrack for Returns at the time, but his schedule didn't line up. So then they had Kenji Yamamoto come in to do the soundtrack, which makes sense. That's like the main Metroid composer across most of the series and had worked with Retro previously. So when he did the soundtrack for Returns, I just get the sense that he just didn't want to rock the boat, or maybe the David Weiss not being able to do it came real late and he had to fill in on short notice or something. But like, there's like nothing to the Return soundtrack that isn't done better on the Super Nintendo games, which is weird. The one thing I'll really give up for Returns is I do think the factory levels have really, really good music in Returns, but that's kind of it. And I'm not trying to make that shade on Yamamoto. Like, the Metroid Prime, even 4, has all of those games have amazing soundtracks. Like, we know he can make real good music. It's interesting. Again, I don't know if he just didn't want to rock the boat or was just trying to pay homage to David Weiss and whatever. But yeah, I would have loved to hear like Kenji Yamamoto, like actual rearrangement of stuff, and not just like, yeah, here's like a pretty straightforward MIDI version of Aquatic Ambience or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, right, is that David Weiss's music for a Donkey Kong Country is so like that is so much the identifying tone of Donkey Kong that like it is very hard to stray away from that. Not that it can't be done. Like, I think that, you know, we did a whole episode on Bonanza. I feel like Bonanza did a very good job of kind of feeling new and feeling like a kind of step in a different direction while still feeling true to the spirit of the tone that David Weiss established. And if you're not going to have him be involved with the game directly like he is in Tropical Freeze, then I do think that you at least need to like build upon the foundation that he laid. And yeah, for one reason or another, Yamamoto just didn't. And so, yeah, like him coming back to Tropical Freeze, it is hard to overstate how big of a deal that is and how much this elevates Tropical Freeze into being like, you know, like it's already an amazing game. And it's already just, again, like one of the great Nintendo games, one of the great 2D platformers of all time. But having David Weiss come back and also deliver one of the great soundtracks of all time is what takes Tropical Freeze from being something that is like excellent and elevating it to true like masterpiece territory. Like that is like that is just the secret sauce of this whole thing. Because again, like something like Returns is really good, but is that anybody's favorite Donkey Kong game? Like, probably not. And when like playing Tropical Freeze for the first time, it was like, oh, like this is so clearly the best Donkey Kong game,
Right?
You know,
like it's not even close. I mean, I know 2 has still a lot of defenders out there.
Of course,
2 for its time is also amazing, but yeah, it's pretty like Animal Buddy situation aside, it's pretty undeniable to me that Tropical Freeze outdoes it in like every single way.
Yeah, I mean, if they had animal buddies in this thing, it would be like an 11 out of 10. Like, as it stands out, it's merely a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I do just also want to shout out, you know, we talked about it at the start, but yeah, when David Weiss was announced, confirmed coming back for the soundtrack, I was so excited I had to get energy out. And so I went on like a walk in the afternoon.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I remember having the thought, we've talked about this on Bit Harmony before, probably even this story, but I just remember thinking, oh my God, I have to be like careful because I have to live to hear, I can't die before I get to hear another Donkey Kong Country soundtrack composed by David Weiss. That was, you know, obviously I was like in my early 20s, so things were a lot less important in general back then. So I could really focus on my important stuff like video game music soundtracks. But that was a genuine thought that went through my head. And what better way can I sum up the whole David Weiss talk than just saying that I was worried I was going to die before I could hear this soundtrack?
Oh, dude. Yeah, we've talked about that on the show before. I remember I went to therapy for the first time when I was a teenager, and they wanted me to journal at that time. And I literally remember writing in my journal at one point, like, I hope I don't die before Kingdom Hearts 2 comes out. You know, like when you're a kid, like that kind of stuff is like very important to you, and everything's just so heightened. And I mean, like, on one hand it's like silly and ridiculous, but on the other hand, man, yeah, I get it.
It's partially serious. Like I like, this is like the thing I'm most looking forward to. But in my case, yeah, it was just hearing the soundtrack to a new Donkey Kong Country game.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Why should that have any less importance than anything else? Like, isn't it great to just feel excited about something to the point where it gives you, in some small way, a reason to look forward to,
I thought you were going to say looking forward to something so much that it instills the fear of God in you.
Dude, we used to, maybe I've even talked about this. I grew up very religious. I would be with my grandmother in Chicago, and every night before bed, we would pray and I would always pray that God like allowed me to live another day.
Jesus, man.
I would
Holy
always,
hell.
isn't that
God.
crazy? I would always pray that I like got to wake up tomorrow. It's crazy.
If I was a praying man, yeah, maybe I would have done that. Please, God, let me hear a Miss Abyss. Please, I gotta. Well, hey, good news. We're going to go on a break for Scorch and Torch and a Miss Abyss from Tropical Freeze, and we'll be right back to talk about it. And once again, that was Scorch and Torch and Miss Abyss. I kind of didn't realize how stacked I planned this specific break, to be honest. My first note for Scorch and Torch is "Now We're Cooking," which wasn't even meant to be a pun or anything.
Look at you.
Again, it was on accident. It was not. I was just very excited. This is maybe, man, I Busted Bayou is, again, like my number one favorite, but like Scorch and Torch, I think might be number two. I love this song. And again, this is from World 3, where, as Seth and I were saying, like it's kind of Worlds 2, 3, and 5 where I feel like there's the most environmental storytelling going on. And you couple that, we'll talk about what that storytelling is in a second, but you couple that storytelling with this song, which I think to me is the one that reminds me the most of the Super Nintendo era soundtracks.
Sure.
Like it kind of feels like something you could have heard in like the Fear Factory levels or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, you couple all those things together and it's just like, man, this really is the return of Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, like it has that kind of flavor to it, but it's so damn dramatic.
Yes.
Like it's so it's like a spy movie. Like you could tell me this was from Metal Gear Solid 3 and I would believe you.
Dude, this actually kind of would fit into like 2 or something. Yeah, you're totally right.
it just has like the intensity of the drums, the sadness of it. Like this is a very sad level to me, for reasons that we'll get into, but like even the flute in this song, my first note is the flute sounds like it's crying.
My note on the flute is that it sounds, especially at like 58 seconds, that it's absolutely like wailing.
Yeah, like it sounds like it's crying. And even like the lead melody against those drums, you've got these intense building drums that are almost like completely taking over the song, like, like fire taking over. But then the lead melody kind of feels like it to me was evocative of like tears falling into an empty space. And a fun level to play and everything else, but it's incredibly sad.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know, like the third or fourth, I think maybe fourth level of World 3. And we're going to talk about another World 3 level in the next break, so I won't get super in depth, but basically it is this like African, like Sahara inspired world. And you see, like these trees and these plains. And it's at first, it just feels like very, again, more traditional Donkey Kong levels sort of. But then you get to the third level, which is like this tornado. It's a storm, a thunderstorm and a tornado happening. And so lightning is striking down while you're in the middle of a tornado and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the following level is Scorch and Torch, where the whole like plane is on fire. Even like background elements are on fire, including like the same kind of trees you've been seeing in the first few levels of this world. And yeah, my read on it was those flutes, it really feels like it's the trees that are like crying or wailing, or if you want to zoom out a bit further, it's like the nature itself kind of. I also found it really interesting, and I also saw a YouTube comment about this, separate from my own thoughts on it. Those like pillars with faces on them, that they were in returns a lot, actually. And as hazards, they kind of like, they have these faces, they pop like when they see you, like the faces kind of like contort when they see you, though they're made out of stone, and they try and drop on you and hurt you from above if you're not paying attention to the background.
3D thwomps, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even easier to avoid, honestly, as long as you're paying attention to it. But this is the only level in Tropical Freeze where they are. They don't even show up anywhere else in like World 3. And yeah, I wonder why that is, other than the fact that they already had, like, from a programming standpoint, they already had like the assets and the programming of like, hey, the background element is also being destroyed from a narrative point of view in this level, so we can have background elements like dropping on you and damaging you too. I understand that, but thematically, I also just find it interesting because, again, they have like faces that contort and change.
Yeah.
I also like associated the crying with them. It's like their home. Again, these are stone pillars that just happen to have faces. I don't know that they actually feel anything, but maybe they do. But yeah, those things also lend themselves so much to this feel of like just despair over this whole area being destroyed by a raging wildfire. It's very, very powerful stuff.
I mean, yeah, like I wonder if they put them in there even to like evoke trees falling,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like to have that and to give you something that feels like that, but something that also does have like a face. I think is also kind of interesting. But for me, the thing that always got me is like, cause yeah, you can see kind of like the scorched trees that have like that thing that wood does when it's just burnt to charcoal, and you can just kind of see like that deep like red from inside of it and stuff. That is all over the place. But it's when the tree platforms that you use, when they burn like slowly, and they burn almost like in a row or something while you're on them. Something about that, something about like the platforms that you're very familiar with burning underneath your feet is very, I don't know, like I think this is a very like powerful level, and it's so it's so different tonally from everything else in the game, and it's not a silhouette level. If they really wanted to like go hard on this and make it something like that, they could have made it that. But I think it's kind of important that they didn't. I think it's kind of important that they made it something that feels tangible, that you are involved in. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been so easy to just make it like a smoke-filled level and it's a silhouette thing at that point. But then, yeah, you lose out on the detail of the fire. I mean, I guess it could have been striking to have the fire still be red and whatever. That could have been kind of cool. But I agree, even though that feels like it kind of writes itself, I'm glad that they didn't go that route. Because, yeah, it would feel too, cartoony or removing yourself from the situation.
Totally. Yeah.
Or making it too like lighthearted in a way. I think they also did a smoky level in Returns with the silhouettes, if I remember correctly. But it's been a long time since I played. Not that they can't reuse it. It would have been cool here. Or even like kind of like what they do in Abyss Abyss, where it can become silhouettes at times. Like you could go into a cloud of smoke and then pop out again or something. That could have been cool. But again, like you said, I'm glad they didn't, because it really, the music coupled with the fact that they didn't go for that easy layup, it really feels like they want you to feel stuff here. Also worth noting, when I was describing like the first couple levels of this world, the trees like dance in World 1. Now granted, like everything is kind of dancing, so I don't know that they're trying to say the trees are like alive and stuff in that first level, but it is also very harrowing seeing those trees that were like moving and shaking and even kind of helping you platform. They're now burning. Like they are going down in this blaze. It's very, I almost feel guilty for how much I like the level, because I do think this is one of the best levels in the game. Like they have this cool thing where you can pick up these like giant berries that burst with water when you throw them. So you have to like cool the ground beneath your feet, and even like, you know, get rid of fire on ropes before you can swing on them. So yeah, I think this is one of the most striking levels to actually play in the whole game, even removed from the music and the theming. It's just a great platforming level. But then, yeah, you have this theme going on and this music going on, and yeah, to me, this is like everything that Returns was missing. Both the music, but also this level of like stage interactivity. Again, been a while since I played Returns, but I don't remember there being this level of like the stage coming to life. Like there's a few instances of it. Like the factory levels, again, easily the best levels to me in Returns, have like some interaction, I remember. And like the giant octopus level in Returns, I remember, has some of this too. Or when the waves are crashing from the background into you in the foreground. But those are just like small little examples, whereas it feels like almost every level in this game is doing that. And yeah, I think Scorch and Torch is my pick for like the best example of doing that.
It reorients your involvement, your like emotional investment in the game, because they don't want you to ooh and ah at it. Like obviously it's a fun stage and everything, but the music in here, again, it being so dramatic, it being so intense, and having that kind of, like Metal Gear kind of energy to it, I think it does say something about like kind of, I don't know, like giving you a mission statement of this is a place worth saving, because look at what happens to it when we don't. You know, and I also think like even like the juxtaposition between, you know, between the fire and the overall ice theming of the game is even pretty powerful. So yeah, it's weird. Like, I've always kind of resonated with that with this game. It's also the kind of thing that you could totally not pick up on. And I'm sure some people listening to this are like thinking to themselves, this is just classic, you know, bit harmony, you know, reading too much into things and crying about trees. But
get better material. Stop talking about the trees.
You know, like last time you were crying about roads and now you're crying about trees. Like, Jesus, we get it. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like this is the kind of stuff that I like to take away from games. And I appreciate that this game is going for something like that. Even like there's a level that plays, it might even be later, and I don't remember if it's in World 3 or World 4, but do you remember there's like a fishing level where they're just like pulling up like nets like full of fish, like they're even just like literally removing the fish from the water, just like these massive nets of fish, and like you can see like the penguins like kind of processing them in the background, and like I don't know, man, like there's a weird kind of like environmental message to this whole game that I really find striking.
Yeah, that level I think is a couple levels after this. It's like Canyon or something like that. Like the path splits off into 3 in World 3 at one point. I think it's one of those levels that you're talking about with the fishing going on. Huh. I mean, yeah, I had noticed a lot of these things like separated before, but I never put them all together to that degree of even thinking about like, yeah, overfishing basically on this island. Yeah, I guess there really is. Damn, man, I kind of wish they'd had a revisit of like the factory, like the traditional factory stages from Donkey Kong Country then to really hammer that point home. Yeah, I guess I guess then really what's happening is that each island is just being conquered and then used for a different thing, and then I guess they just like cold, so they wanted Donkey Kong Island to just be their new cold home base, I guess. Yeah. The fact that we got that much material out of just Scorch and Torch is honestly striking. I'm truly impressed and terrified. Hey, for a Miss Abyss, the first note I have is David Weiss, the Water Wizard, strikes again.
the Water Wizard casts a new spell. Yeah. That should be, if he add David Weiss to Smash, so that in his announcement video you can have that tagline.
That only you, me, the listeners, and that person on YouTube who commented it will ever understand. Yeah. The fun thing about a Miss Abyss, well, there's a lot of fun things about it, but to me, it really feels like, and I'm sure David Weiss knows this, I'm sure he gets annoyed like being asked nothing but Donkey Kong Country music questions, right? When he gets interviewed and whatever. A Miss Abyss feels like the direct response to everyone that never shuts up about aquatic ambience from the
1000%.
It's kind of like, yeah, I get it. Y'all love that one, but guess what? I can do a direct follow up to it, and it's even better. You know.
Yep.
Again, I love aquatic ambience. If I narrow it down, that's probably the song that made me realize I love music in general as a child. But y'all, we've heard it before. Like, again, get new material. And yeah, a Miss Abyss is new, like, aquatic ambience material, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of those same thoughts. I mean, first of all, like that very iconic like synth pad, that like wavy sound coming in and out, that is like totally a direct callback to aquatic ambience. Like that's exactly what it is. That like this is definitely David Weiss saying like, yeah, man, like I can do a water song that is better than aquatic ambience. And I almost wonder if that is, I would like to ask him that, like if that was him kind of proving himself to himself a little bit, because when you're so known for this one thing that nobody shuts up about, I do wonder if you feel a certain level of pressure of like, am I ever going to do another thing that is to that level again? That resonates with people that much. And yeah, I fully agree. I think a Miss Abyss is better, or at least conveys the mood better, because aquatic ambience is like just about kind of the peaceful nature of being underwater. And this Miss Abyss kind of adds a level
while you're
of
being
like,
chased by octopuses and stuff.
yeah. This kind of adds a layer of like, isn't it fun to be underwater? Like, isn't it like this really would fall into our category of getting up to something music, in a way.
But like majestic up to something kind of, yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Like I'm fully with you. This is like an enhanced aquatic ambience.
And there are moments in the Tropical Freeze soundtrack where he does callbacks to old songs, but they're usually just for like a few seconds, basically. Like,
right.
I think there are multiple songs that have tiny little aquatic ambience callbacks. So like he knows that people want that, but I'm sure there were probably people on forums back in 2014 complaining that the Miss Abyss level he could have just done a rearrangement of aquatic ambience. It's like, yeah, but this is so much cooler. I would much rather have new stuff. As much as I love aquatic ambience, he's able to do stuff here like unrestricted now. He doesn't have the SNES sound chip to work off of this time. So just let the man do whatever he wants and you get something to this quality. I feel like what's interesting when I looked up YouTube comments for this soundtrack, it's one of those rare instances where almost every song, it was very easy to find people ranking like their favorite songs. Like, oh yeah, Busted Bayou is my favorite song. Here's my other two, right? Every list I saw in the YouTube comments was different. Like it was like a different top 3 every time, let alone top 1. That's so cool. And also just goes to show how right he was to not just do a rearrangement of aquatic ambience for this. Like it's so cool that like we got a musical sequel or spiritual successor to aquatic ambience here. Like that's so much more, that has so much more value to me than just doing the easy thing again.
It would have hurt the game, frankly. Like it would have made the game worse if the game was just nothing but like, let's play the hits. Like I can't imagine anything more boring. Like I want something, isn't what you want, like as a fan, like something that is new, that has the potential to be as good or supplant something that that you already love and have a lot of nostalgia for. I feel like people are so hell-bent on this idea of this thing that I loved when I was a kid, that's my favorite, that's going to be the thing that I latch onto forever and ever. But like, to me, it's so much more exciting to like come back to something with something fresh that maybe can evoke those same feelings, but like put a new spin on it and do it even better. Like why aren't we always wanting that?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that in both fiction and real life, that's like ultimate character development, is the person wants something, they can't have it, they go on the path that allows them to get the thing they want, and then they end up getting the thing they want and find out that they don't want it anymore, that they're changed, right? Like David Weiss has talked multiple times about how he was just like in like a very melancholy space when he was writing these Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country soundtracks and stuff. And like, yeah, for whatever else, I get the sense based on this soundtrack, he seems like he's probably in like a better, more happier place now.
Right.
And that's great. And it allowed him to make new stuff. Like, that's so cool. I do want to talk a little bit about the level. We talked about it a little bit before the break too, but yeah, like Seth said, this level starts off like normal side scrolling, then you start going underwater, and then as you get further and further underwater, it's an abyss, and it turns into a silhouette level. But then you can activate like bioluminescent like underwater plants that activate lights, and then so
cool.
You'll get like sections where you're silhouette Donkey Kong, but then you'll get flashes of like, oh no, there's normal Donkey Kong. Like he's coming out of the darkness briefly because of these bioluminescent plants. Just so cool. Such a cool way to have. I love how there's only like 3 or 4 silhouette levels in this entire game. Any other game, any lesser game would have done at least like 1 per world, and they absolutely do not do that here. And even when they do, it's way more subtle and easier to miss
Yeah, there's another little touch that this game does a lot that I really appreciate is the little things that you can interact with. And this was true of returns in most Donkey Kong games, but the little things that you can interact with that'll just like pop out, whatever, 3 bananas or something. In every world there's like a different kind of version of that. Like in World 2 where it's more Nordic and stuff, it's like a little beer stein, that you'll see. But here when you're like this deep underwater, it's like diving helmets and stuff, and like you'll eventually kind of roll past these big like sort of structures that light up. It's a very like striking level, and a game or a level rather that uses the silhouette sort of gimmick, not as a gimmick, but as something that illustrates darkness, and the and playing with darkness, which I think itself is already a pretty like underused sort of game mechanic, and it's really cool to see it used here.
I think my favorite silhouette level in the game is I mean, Busted Bayou is amazing just for the music, but in terms of like the use of the silhouette as not just a visual aesthetic, but as this is accomplishing something from a gameplay standpoint, I think is the World 6 silhouette level. I think it's level 6 of World 6, where it's like an avalanche happening, and everything is like white on the screen except for the actual platforms, and so that actually serves the function of it's easier to see what I can platform on and like what the enemies are in front of me and around me at all times, because everything has been kind of like pressed downwards into its simplified form. Like nothing is visually distracting anymore, despite the fact that I'm platforming up an avalanche. That level is incredible. I think that, man, I can't make any declarative statements. This whole game is just full of nothing but amazing levels, honestly. Did you have anything you wanted to add about Amiss Abyss?
No, it's just really good. I liked it a lot, and yeah, it's great stage. It's a great song. It's better than Aquatic Ambience. Go ahead and leave your angry comments on Spotify now. It's okay.
So we already ended up answering a lot of the questions that I had written down here as like potential prompts for this section. I don't know if you wanted to hang on anything here, but otherwise we could just go into our final DKC break.
Yeah, I guess we can go ahead and just and hit our final break here. I mean, I do think it's kind of interesting, this notion. You have a bullet point here that I think might be interesting to talk about a little. I don't know if we want to talk about it now or later, but just the idea of like, yeah, what the future of Donkey Kong as a series is like. The idea of like, are we just kind of in this post Bonanza, everything is going to be like a 3D Bonanza level game, or do we continue to see 2D entries? I mean, I would love nothing more than for all of these franchises that have very distinct 2D and 3D entries, from Zelda to Metroid to Mario to Donkey Kong. Like, I would love to see them trade off. Like, I would love to get, one team making 2D Donkey Kong games and then, another team making 3D.
Yeah, I'm with you. That would be my dream. Now, as for who would do the side-scrolling games, I don't know. In terms of like, what teams are available in wanting to do something like that. Like I said, I still would love Retro to get to finish off a trilogy of Donkey Kong Country games. I know that a lot of the people that made Returns and Tropical Freeze probably aren't even at Retro anymore. I'm fully aware, and that's also probably part of the issue with Metroid Prime 4. But still, if the team at Retro wants to do another Donkey Kong Country game, I would love to see them be able to finish that off and really expand out from here. I would prefer David Weiss to be brought back one more time for that, but if not, that's also fine. Yeah, it's hard to say. We're still so fresh off of Bonanza. It's hard for me to have any kind of read on like what Nintendo wants to do with this stuff. I would even be down for, I mean, I know we just had the Mario versus Donkey Kong remake a couple of years ago on Switch, but I wouldn't mind a revisit of that stuff, like that concept. Yeah. Again, beyond like a remake capacity, though. I mean, who knows? I guess they could just remake the original Game Boy Donkey Kong 94, and people would be pretty happy about that. Yeah, I don't know what the future of Donkey Kong is. I will say I replayed Tropical Freeze 2 years ago. Me and Eric for All In did a revisit. I think that was for the 10-year anniversary of it back then.
Mm-hmm.
And this was still just as joyful of an experience 2 years later. This to me feels like the most timeless platformer ever, at least 2D platformer. Like, you know, I love Mario 3 and Mario World, but I've played them so many times. They're too kind of static and boring for me now because I've played them to death so many times. Whereas like Tropical Freeze just feels so alive and there's so much going on. And like, even though I've played this game to completion like 6 times in my life, I was still so delighted to do it again here. Like I think I'll never get tired of this. And I think this is still, not that I want to directly compare this to Bonanza, but I do still think this is my favorite Donkey Kong game as much as I loved Bonanza. But Tropical Freeze is just something else.
Well, I also think there's an opportunity, again, I know nothing, but this is just something I'll throw out there because, you know, we do know that when you meet up with Diddy and Dixie in Bonanza, they reference the events of the kind of rare and retro eras of Donkey Kong games. And I do wonder if there could be a potential of like, okay, like DK and the adventures of like DK and Pauline, like that's the 3D series. And then Diddy and Dixie are kind of spearheading the 2D series. That could be cool. Like that could be a neat thing.
I would love that, especially because like Donkey Kong is like the least interesting character of his own series.
Right.
You know, like they find ways to get rid of him real quick. You know, in earlier games. I would love that. Even as much as I was partially joking about how much I don't like Diddy, give me a Diddy and Dixie series where like they're really like partnered together and like you are swapping between them and like really doing stuff like acrobatics, like really lean into, you know, in Donkey Kong Country 2 that like they can go on each other's shoulders, they can toss each other and stuff.
Right.
I would love some kind of side-scrolling game or even 3D if they really wanted to go for it. But in terms of this talk of keeping the 2D games going, a 2D game starring Diddy and Dixie and the Animal Buddies.
Yes.
That really leans into that kind of stuff. I think that could be a really valuable successor to this. It doesn't even have to be a country game if they want to drop the branding. I'm also fine with that. Like, to me, country has kind of served its purpose. That's a real weird sentence to say, honestly. Like a Kong with no country, I guess. But yeah, if they just want to call it something else now and like and shift the focus over to Diddy and Dixie, that would be awesome. I would be all over that.
Yeah, just like some way to keep. I feel like they want Donkey Kong to be a big deal again, and I just feel like you can't do that with releasing another 3D Bonanza-like game once every 10 years or whatever. Like I just feel like you have to do more than that, and obviously, I'm sure they're going to be making like a movie and stuff like that, and you've got the theme park, but. I don't know. I feel like I want to see more variety with the franchise, and I think that there is a way to kind of have their cake and eat it too. And I hope we land there. Now, the thing that sucks is that is not going to happen at all. And and now like I've spun myself up into wishing for something that whatever happens will not be as cool as that. So
at least fulfill the prophecy and give us the 7-Eleven Tropical Freeze, like frosty, slurpy, whatever, banana flavored. How did that not happen back then? Maybe at Nintendo World they'll do the Tropical Freeze or something. They'll do their own take on it. Let's go on our final Donkey Kong break of the episode then. We're going to listen to Alpine Incline Lowlands and Grassland Groove. So again, that was Alpine, Incline, Lowlands, and Grassland Groove. A lot of lands going on here. Seth, Alpine Incline was one of your demands. I mean, we kind of both demanded all of these songs be in here.
Right, yeah.
But this was like the one specific thing that I didn't immediately list that you wanted to have. So tell me about Alpine Incline.
I think it's so hard for me to nail down like a favorite, sort of level or song in the game, but like gun to my head, this might be it for me. This is just, I love like the tonality of this. I love that the stage is broken up into these parts of like, starting off and you see like kind of the hot air balloons. It's again, very Nordic, very sort of like, totems and stuff everywhere. And all these kind of like Icelandic looking pine trees and stuff. And I love the look of all of that. But then like when you get into kind of like the second, part of the stage where it's like a vertical, sort of thing. And you're kind of like going up into the clouds. I don't know. I love all of that. I think that just tonally works so well to the point where, we're only playing the Lowlands version, but there's like even a totally separate, like kind of cloud version of the song, which is, it's just so cool that they did that. So thoughtful for kind of the, the follow up where you're actually like up in the balloons and stuff. And I love those little aviator penguin dudes. Probably my favorite enemy design in the game. So good. But when it comes to the song itself, like I love the sense of like build and drama that it has. This to me more than maybe any other song in the game, like especially like the way it starts at that kind of like delayed bass, like it feels extremely Super Nintendo coded to me.
Yeah.
And then as it goes, it kind of introduces more complicated instrumentation, European instrumentation, stuff like accordion and things like this, and strings and whatever. And I don't know, like it's got this kind of choral note and the synths that kind of play underneath it that give it this very like ethereal feeling. It again feels to me like an evolution. Like you can almost track from the beginning to the end of this song the maturation of David Weiss's sound and his approach to composing for this franchise. And I also think that it has like this feeling of, I don't know, like when you're overcoming an obstacle and you're just kind of alone with your thoughts. I don't know. There's something to that. Like it has a little bit of like a meditative quality to me. I don't know. I love the song. It makes me think and feel a lot of things.
Yeah, I had some of these same notes. I specifically the SNES vibe. I think this and Scorch and Torch were the songs on the entire soundtrack that most evoked like the Super Nintendo sound to me, or not even necessarily sound, but the vibe and the atmosphere.
Yeah.
For me, it's specifically that real nasty synth that starts up around 27 seconds in. Like,
yeah.
Again, I keep referring back to the factory levels of Donkey Kong Country 1, but it really brings those to mind for me. And then, yeah, obviously it starts getting more into the horns and the more European instrumentation that Seth was talking about before. But it almost gives me this vibe of like traditional versus like advancement or technology.
Yes.
Like, I don't even know if that's what they're going for in this song specifically, because there's not too much technology here beyond, the hot air balloons, which is not like advanced technology for us as 2026 humans, I guess. But I don't know, maybe Donkey Kong has ever seen a hot air balloon before. I'm not sure. Yeah, the level itself beyond the hot air balloons doesn't really deal with the idea of technology or whatever. So I get the sense the synth is just kind of there to sound intimidating and give you a sense of foreboding before you launch into the sky, and it sounds way more joyous up there. Worth noting in the lowlands part of the level that the sky is extremely like gray and dark. It looks like it's going to storm until you launch up into the sky, and then it's all clear up there because you're above the clouds and everything. But yeah, I think we already covered most of my notes then. But yeah, I liked that feeling of, again, even if it wasn't on purpose, like that modern technology synth stuff versus the traditional instrument. I thought that was like a fun, I don't know, like way to frame the song. hey, with Grassland Groove, do you remember like 2 hours ago when I described Windmill Hills as a joyous explosion? Because Grassland Groove might just have the joyous explosion aspect beat.
Yeah, this is pretty much, I mean, this is like you know what this reminded me of listening to this again today. I was thinking of like Loco Roco.
Oh, okay,
And,
yeah.
yeah, and like even Little Big Planet a little bit. It was giving me some of that energy. Just like really, we've talked about this, I think, even too. Any song where you've got like a choir of children vocalizing, it's like I'm on board with that. Like that just gives it such an instant that instantly reads like joy and yeah, just like childlike wonder to it. It's so good. Just a lot of like a cappella stuff, a lot of sort of inaudible like call and response stuff in this that I just love, and it's such a great just party of a stage too. It rules.
Yeah, this is actually probably the song I have the least notes for, but it's one of my favorite songs in the game. So the lack of notes is just more so like, what can I like really add to this? The main note I had here was specifically at 319 when the flutes are starting up beneath like the ho ho ho.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why, but I genuinely get teary-eyed at that moment specifically. It's not like the culmination or anything of the song. It's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. To me, and this is kind of what we've been talking about this whole episode, so I apologize if this ends up being kind of like a summary of the last 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever, but this song specifically feels like, I don't know, it's the soundtrack to something like a promise fulfilled, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Bit Harmony probably doesn't exist without David Weiss's body of work on the Super Nintendo alone, and that's to say nothing of like the other countless video game music podcasts and video game music YouTube channels and stuff. Hell, probably even the careers of a lot of other composers probably doesn't exist without Donkey Kong Country music, right? Like it's always so funny to say something like that, which is objectively true. And again, Donkey Kong Country music is amazing, but just saying the words Donkey Kong Country like changed my life. It sounds goofy, but it's true. And so this song to me is kind of like the exclamation mark of what it meant to everyone when like David Weiss came back to the series, that he didn't code the game, he didn't like design levels or anything of the original Donkey Kong Country games, but without his music, Donkey Kong Country would not be what it is. And I think that extends out to even beyond us nerds and into the more casual sphere. Like I said at the start, my mom commented back in 1995 or whatever about how good the music was. Like, people that I've never heard talk about like music period in that way were like, damn man, why is this Donkey Kong Country game have such a good soundtrack? Like, it permeates the conversation of all things Donkey Kong, and I think was kind of like a specter hanging over the series until Tropical Freeze. So again, not to glaze David Weiss too hard, but it really feels like maybe the reason they haven't done another side-scrolling Donkey Kong game is because this is it. We can't put that genie back in the bottle. Like, we can't bring David Weiss back again. It kind of feels like, what else could he do, right? He gave us all this, including Grassland Groove. This is the moment where he came back and maybe gave his goodbye to the series, and what a hell of a swan song if that is true. Again, maybe it's not. Maybe he'll come back and do another one. I have no idea. But it made me also retroactively respect Bonanza's choice even more to not linger too much on the Donkey Kong era stuff when it comes to the music. Like, yeah, they had a little bit in there, but it's literally like 3 or 4 songs.
Right.
Like, yeah, pay tribute, pay homage, but like, use that as a launching pad to the new stuff in the new era of Donkey Kong, because like we had the ultimate exclamation mark on Donkey Kong Country already, and it's Tropical Freeze.
Right. Yeah, it needs to be something different at this point, because when it comes to Donkey Kong Country, like, I don't really see a world where you get better than this. Yeah, this is kind of the ultimate representation. It's like, where do you go from here? Yeah. I also, one thing with this song in particular, and again, the whole stage is such a fun party and celebration, fireworks and animal floats and stuff. It's so good. But the ending when the key changes and you have that slow build up and the chorus is actually saying Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Like that moment, and we've described this before with other games. I think we might have talked about this with WarioWare, Wario Land. Those moments where it feels like this ascendant, strange, like the game is like acknowledging you and speaking to you from a digital world or something. Like that is how I feel at the end of this song, where you know, like the whole time you know, you have these vocals and stuff, but to hear them actually acknowledge Donkey Kong in that celebratory way at the end of the song, it's like they reached out and I don't know, called to you from that place into this one. You know, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, and also if you touch the barrel before the Donkey Kong is done being said, you're a monster. Don't end the level until the whole thing is said. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta wait. And I also love how like even those little like totems that pop up, they're all like smiling, and yeah, it's just such a joyous celebration.
And then they all get burned to death just 3 stages later.
Yeah. The trees aren't dancing anymore.
Yep, yeah. It's over. Let's get into the YouTube comment oversharing corner. This is the section of the show where we read off any funny, memorable, interesting, or downright insane comments we've stumbled across while grabbing songs for this episode. The YouTube comments were an absolute feast on this one, boys, which makes sense. It's Donkey Kong Country, but also it's been over 10 years since Tropical Freeze, which is very alarming, and you have we covered everything here. For this first one, we got a pretty simple one. It's YouTube user Beat for Me 2 in 64 commented on Windmill Hills 10 years ago. I showed this song to my grandpa and he loved it.
Yeah, thanks for updating everybody on that.
I mean, the very straightforward phrasing of this made me genuinely laugh, but it is also basically what I'm saying when I'm saying, like, yeah, my mom and my uncle talked about how good the Super Nintendo soundtrack was back then. Like, it is a continuation of that. I also actually saw varieties of this same type of comment on other songs too, like of like, oh yeah, I paused this for my dad and he was like tapping his foot to the music, and so it's cute. I really appreciate that has continued for 30 years now. You know, I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's nice. Like it's nice to introduce like people who like normally don't care, you know, about video games at all to you know, genuinely good music from games. Yeah, that's sweet. YouTube user Gustavo Paz 1645 commented on Windmill Hills 11 years ago. The intro alone, comma, ... Oh my god. This is like sex for my ears. So powerful. This game is a masterpiece. Okay.
I mean, obviously, the sex for my ears is awful. That's a god-awful thing to say. It is very 11 years ago coded. So I guess maybe I shouldn't judge him too harshly on that, but I love following that up with so powerful. Because again, Windmill Hills, if you don't remember, it's the very joyous first level of World 2. That song is many things. I don't know that I would describe it as powerful.
Yeah, that's the one with like the whistling and like the happy, upbeat, cowboy adventure vibes.
Also, I don't like following Sex for My Ears with powerful. There's something real nasty about that, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
The Sex for My Ears thing, like that is such a, you're so right. It's such an 11 years ago. Like people would use like eargasm and stuff like that.
God, I hate that.
I hate it. I hate it.
For this next one, you've got YouTube user Silhouette 2 Faman 2935 commented on Busted Bayou 6 months ago. I also love running the gamut from 11 years ago to 6 months ago. That's very fun. I choose to believe that's Funky Kong himself playing the sax. Already a great comment. I loved it. But then we had a follow-up from Otto Lovechild 506 responded 2 months ago saying He's also on the flute, if I'm not mistaken.
I love that he like found the liner notes and confirmed.
Yeah, but yeah, that's very good. Also, maybe the most well-placed, if I'm not mistaken, of all time. That is a fantastic bit. It's also funny because you can totally imagine a world in which Funky Kong played saxophone. Very hard for me to imagine him playing the flute.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's a little too dainty of an instrument. Yeah. Yeah, he'd have to be on like a didgeridoo or something like that.
Yeah. He sells you like bazookas in Donkey Kong 64. That dude doesn't know how to play the flute. Come on.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, even like I feel like his fingers are too big to play a flute effectively. Yeah. We have YouTube user Bun Lila commented on Grassland Groove 1 year ago. Maybe I'm a dumb baby, but I actually cried with the combination of music and visuals the first time I played this level.
Mostly, I just added this in because I love them. Maybe I'm a dumb baby. I think I call myself a dumb baby, or maybe I even call both of us dumb babies all the time on this show.
We are dumb babies. You're in good company.
We are dumb babies. Also, I didn't write any of them down here, but all the comments were just being like, no, it's okay. I'm also a dumb baby if you're a dumb baby, because I'm also crying at this level and stuff. Yeah.
All of you would like this podcast, I think.
I do think, it was 1 year ago. Maybe Bun Leela has since discovered Bit Harmony. I'm waiting for the day, if this show goes on long enough, one of the people that we read a YouTube comment of, they're going to be a listener of the show. If it goes on. We could retire
after that. We could literally retire after that. That would make me so happy.
Yeah, and then get a follow-up YouTube comment, I would lose my mind.
Dude.
That really would probably be the last episode of the show.
Yeah, we would be forced to retire. It doesn't get better than that.
Next, we got YouTube user Lewis Boyum 3461 commented on Grassland Groove 3 years ago, and it is worth noting this is an edited comment. He just says, my fave part, yeah. But then also what made it funny is that this had the classic like automated Google Translate option for you in the comments. And then if you hit the translate to English button, it says, my fave part, yes, yeah.
Funny that Google felt the need to translate ya to yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And they should have just done that in the song. Had those kids singing yes, yeah.
Yes. It's so powerful. It's so much stronger than yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. This game is a masterpiece. YouTube user Agu Fungus commented on Scorch and Torch 9 years ago, and here's my little secret. I killed Mufasa.
Here's also my little secret as the producer of the show. Sometimes I arrange these notes, especially if it's voice acting required, in a way that I know Seth will hit a certain one. Even sometimes after you've gone in and added more comments, I go back in and swap
rearrange them.
Sometimes I know you are the Lion King guy. I like Lion King.
I love Lion King. Yeah, it's my favorite Disney movie. Yeah.
If someone's gonna read that comment specifically, it had to be you. So I made sure.
I killed Mufasa. I love the way he leans into that delivery. Good old Jeremy Irons, dude.
Yeah. For this next one, we got YouTube user KJenriquez commented, or 16 commented on Scorch and Torch 11 years ago. God, I added this one.
This might be the comment of the episode.
Who else scorched and torched a bowl while listening? But also, I just want to mention, again, Scorch and Torch is like maybe the most distressing song in this episode.
The saddest level, the most distressing song, the one with the most powerful and heartbreaking environmental themes. Who else scorching and torching a bowl? That rules. Okay. It's hard to move on from that. YouTube user Tropic_topic commented on a Miss Abyss 1 month ago. I come here every day. This song makes me happy and sad.
Again, this one, with how many YouTube comments we have, maybe I should have gone in and taken this one out. But again, just the plain language of this one, I love it. The idea of also listening to this every day is also very funny. But yeah, it's that plain language. This makes me happy and sad.
Yeah, this makes me happy and sad. I come here do you think they've been coming to that video like every day for 14 years? However long.
That would be even more distressing than listening to Scorch and Torch while scorching and torching a bull.
No kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Tropic Topic. I mean, Tropic is right there in their name. Yeah, so maybe that's they're just still stuck on Tropical Freeze all this time later.
He's another one I want to hear this episode and comment on. Please, Tropic Topic, let us know if everything's okay.
Yeah, let us know. Comment on Spotify that this episode made you happy and sad.
or YouTube. We are on YouTube.
That's true.
Comment there. We don't have a huge presence on YouTube, but we'll eventually see it.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
I'm trying to will it into existence that a listener, or rather a YouTube commenter or listener, comments on our episode.
Yes, please.
This next one, we've got YouTube user the Moth Reborn. Okay, that took me a second when it's all one word like that. Commented on Fruity Factory 3 years ago. Who said "bwee boop bwop 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 boop"? I love that.
Referencing like the talk boxy part. Yeah, I thought it was really, it always gets me when people try to like enunciate and like spell out phonetically something like that, but then just like ending it with I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that. YouTube user Stormy of Hearts commented on Fruity Factory 2 years ago. This is where I was made. in the Fruity Factory.
I took this as they're implying that they're queer or whatever, right. But when I first read this, I took it as like what that comic panel where Batman is talking to Raphael, like, this is where my parents died, Raphael. Right. Like, it's like that tone out. This is where I was made.
This is where I like boys became men. Yeah, in Fruity Factory.
This is where my dreams died, in the Fruity Factory. Hey, Fruity Factory, we didn't really talk about it. That is one of the harder levels in World 5. Like, the fruit's getting chopped up with like these giant knives chopping from the background, and there's like a giant like grinder coming towards you at parts of the level. So being made here would actually be pretty terrifying. I'd assume you'd be some kind of like RoboCop monstrosity constructed to like end crime or something in the Fruit Factory.
More fruit than man.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Stormy of Hearts. And that has been your YouTube comment oversharing corner for this episode. However, before we get to the end, we do have technically 2 voicemails.
That's right. Let's play the first one.
Hello, 2-Bit Harmony of the All N Media Conglomerate. Lies! You
I was waiting for this.
To update your voicemail because you're now the super UFO soup people. But anyways, it is Sprightless. Hello. I have a request for music, which it's not very relevant to you guys, but you said that's okay anyways, so I'm doing it. It is the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius boss music Onslaught, which I like, and they've promised to make a less abusive Final Fantasy Brave Exvius that's like not a horrible gacha thing. So that is my request. It is a lot, and for all of the kind of sort of cameos of other songs, it's a lot more coherent than several of the songs in that game. So thank you and enjoy and bye.
Thanks, Sprightless. So we actually have.
I thought I turned it.
I totally didn't. I didn't even know that. The how did I turn this off took me off guard. I didn't even know that was coming.
I was waiting because I knew that was there, and I was waiting for it to get you. That's why I was giving it a second.
Thank you for that voicemail, Spriteless. We actually have a second voicemail from Spriteless. So before we address that, let's go ahead and hear from them one more time.
Okay, second voicemail from Spriteless because I had not finished listening to your episode before I sent the first one, and wow, there's funny coincidences because I have worked as a picker in a plastic mold injection factory, and that is a sucky job. You pull hot plastic stuff out of a tool, you cut off the extra plastic because the molds are 100 years old and crappy, and you stack them in a box and you count them, and at first it's overwhelming, and then you can keep up, and then you have like a second to spare. And I spent that spare second playing Final Fantasy Brave Exvius on my cell phone, and that's a whole weird coincidence. So I thought I'd tell you that. Bye.
Okay, I think you're safe to start talking. This
I was hoping for another. How do I turn this thing off? A lot to unpack between those two voicemails.
Yeah. I thought we did change. I thought you were asking me the other day if we changed the voicemail message. I guess I just assumed that you did, but I don't remember what the conversation ended up being.
Well, so here's what happened. First of all, I knew somebody was going to get us on this. Like, I knew somebody was just waiting for the chance to strike on that one. But so what I had asked you if there was anything in particular, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go in and change this. Is there anything in particular that you think we should change it to? And then you said, oh no, not really, or whatever. And so I was going to go in there and just do it. But then something happened to distract me, and then I moved, and it just never ended up happening. But I knew in the back of my head, I was like, dude, the first time somebody's going to leave a voicemail, they're gonna get my ass on that. So,
well, especially if it was Spriteless, because they're the ones always commenting on calling it the All In Media Conglomerate or whatever.
Right.
They're always calling it out by its full government name, you know. So
yeah.
we really set ourselves up for that one.
Yeah. So I've got to get in there and change it. Who knows? Maybe it'll be changed by the time you guys are hearing this episode. I mean, hey, maybe you should call in to leave a voicemail and find out if it's been changed. There you go. Put that little carrot on a stick. In regards to the injection mold factory thing, that is a truly insane coincidence, because that YouTube comment that we read in the last episode was the way that I learned that was even a thing. So the idea that Spriteless also worked at an injection mold factory and they would play the game that they are submitting a song for while working there really is a strange influx of coincidences that I love to see happen.
Yeah. When I listened to the second voice, I was like, oh, why is Spriteless calling in again? But then I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's crazy. That actually is genuinely pretty crazy. I'll zoom it back out a little bit, so we're not contemplating like existence. But I also never pegged Spriteless as someone that'd be playing like a Final Fantasy Gacha mobile game. Hearing that, you know, with the first voicemail when they requested, I mean, so hearing then that it was like a time waster at this job, that all of a sudden also clicked into place for me.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I mean, maybe Spriteless is really into that kind of stuff. It sounds like not. It sounds like they called it, you know, what was it? Abusive, like gotcha thing. Right?
I love abusive is such a good descriptor for those. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I'll shout out Infinity Nikki as something that I think is the only one of those I've encountered that is not abusive. Not that they don't have their own problems with some of that stuff too, but a friend had recommended me Brave Exvius, like, I don't know how many years ago. And I did download it, and I was like, within, I'd say 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then, what was that, that Final Fantasy VII, they remade Final Fantasy VII Remake on mobile, basically.
Yeah, what was that called? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I also downloaded that, and it was the same thing. Like immediately, they were wanting me to pull for like different versions of swords and different versions of Cloud. I was like, nope, I'm good. I just wanted like a cool thing to like, yeah, if I'm out and want to waste 5 minutes, like on the bus or something. But nope, I was just like, I don't want to do this. So that's all very interesting. And yeah, as Spriteless implied, Final Fantasy Resonance that was announced at the Nintendo Direct back in June, not widely publicized, but that is like a retooling of Brave Exvius in the same way that Octopath Traveler 0 last year was a retooling of the Octopath mobile game. So people seem to really like Octopath Traveler 0. I heard some people say it's even their favorite Octopath game. So has me pretty interested in seeing what they do with Brave Exvius to make it not abusive, you know?
Yeah, no, I am really excited to check that out when it comes out. Actually, I think it looks great, and I think the idea of repackaging your mobile game into being something that is like a compelling single player experience, removing the microtransactions and the gacha and stuff, I think is genuinely very cool and smart. I think Square Enix has been a really interesting, not to get on a big tangent about this, but they've been really interesting to see like kind of their development pipeline and the smart little ways that they have found to circumvent things like ballooning development costs and development time and things like this. The idea of making mobile games for franchises like Octopath and Final Fantasy into different kind of single player focused games, but you can still retain a lot of the work that was already done. I think that's just really cool and smart. And I have heard that Brave Exvius is actually like removed from all of that a pretty good game. And so the idea that I can just buy, you know, this new one and treat it as its own experience and get to check that out, that sounds great to me, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
I know they would never do it because it makes them like $1 billion every month. But yeah, I played a little bit of Genshin Impact and I was like, damn, if only this wasn't begging me for money every like 10 minutes. Cause I would actually like to play this. I like the gameplay. I like the world and it looks real nice. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool that they're doing that. With that said, then thank you for the voicemail, Spriteless. And let's go on our final break. We're going to listen to Onslaught from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and that was composed by Noriyasu Agamatsu, and we'll be right back. That was Onslaught from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. That is apparently the boss theme. I don't have too many notes on this. It's very fun to me. The concept of Brave Exvius, my understanding, is that the pulls that you're doing are for like Final Fantasy characters from across the series. So to have that also affect like the music stylings, like this is straight up like at times a rearrangement of like the original Final Fantasy battle theme,
Right.
I think that's so cool, especially because most Final Fantasy soundtracks up through 10 tend to favor prog rock, and so this also kind of feels like a mishmash of like metal but also like anime style with like dramatic violins going on. And then you've got the very crunchy dun. It's very cool and well done. And honestly, this again, I don't know if they're like redoing the soundtrack. I feel like not for Resonance is what I mean. Like I don't know if they're just gonna like take the Exvius soundtrack wholesale and just put it into Resonance, or if there's gonna
I don't see why they wouldn't. Yeah,
right. I assume that's what they're gonna do, but if that is the case, it makes me way more interested in hearing it because I think this is neat. I would love to hear like other Final Fantasy themes being like taken and recontextualized and put into parts of other songs. I think that conceptually is just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have much to add to that. That I agree, and I also just think it is just kind of neat to hear things like these double bass drum passages and squealing electric guitar, like very kind of like hard rock metal coated instrumentation against these like big horns and stuff. And I don't know. This was cool. This is cool to hear. I had never heard this before. I likely would not have until Resonance came out. So really just this entire conversation, this voicemail, this song has only served to make me more excited to play Resonance. Comes out in like late October. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm interested in it, but then Metaphor on Switch 2 is out like 2 weeks after that. I'm kind of prioritizing that, but I'm very interested in Resonance. I'm intrigued again just by the fact that it's, like we said, a retooling of a mobile game.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again for calling in, Spriteless. If you would like to call in and contact us, you can do that in a few different ways. You can send voicemails or emails to bitharmonypod@gmail.com, or you can call in a voicemail to 216-230-8540. That number again is 216-230-8540. You can also text that number if you'd like. If you do dial that in, you want to keep it under 3 minutes because otherwise Google Voice will cut you off. But if you email us a thing, you can make it as long as you want. And people often do.
That's true. So send us an email, send us a voicemail. We love taking your voicemails. Play song requests, tell us something, react to something that we said, tell us that Aquatic Ambience is good and we're dumb, or, whatever. Do whatever you want. We would love to take your voicemail. You can also join the UFO Soup Discord, where you can, chat with us there. We often poll for community engagement stuff. We'll post new episodes and stuff like that in there. So check that out. It's free. A lot of cool folks in there. You can also check out Patreon. As we mentioned, the Patreon not only gets you early access to the show, it also gets you a bunch of exclusive mini episodes that are all very good. So if you like the show, there is a lot more where that came from. And at the gold saucer tier and galaxy tier, you also get thanked at the end of the episode by name, which I'll do right now. Bit Harmony is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you. Thank you to our Galaxy tier supporters, Adam Caparello, Bowza, Quagmire, Dan and Luma, Danilina Hosa, SAZ, John Cummins, and Ligerwoods 330. And thank you to our Gold Saucer tier supporters, Big Dogs Only, Bill Tucker, Dill Pickle, Foolish Fuji, Gamer Jason, Hopple, John 32, Liam D, Oldrake, Phelan Ward, Rob Yapel, Shy Guy, thank you Shy Guy, Sean Ashton, Spriteless, and Stephen Keller. We really appreciate y'all for the continued love and support over there on Patreon. It really does mean a lot, really does help us and supports everything we do here. We have a lot of fun things planned for the very near future. So now is a great chance, a great time to jump into the Patreon, check out the free trial, consider supporting what we do. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And if you join over at Patreon, you do get to hear all those minis, including Sonic R. Pretty dang good episode, if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
Our next full episode should be going up on the public feed on September 6th. We're going to be doing that on Vivid Lope. If you're not aware of what Vivid Lope is, which I imagine most people are not, I guess you got to tune in next time, and we will
be.
We will explain it in excruciating detail, I'm sure, for what amounts to like a $10 arcade puzzle game, but with a fantastic soundtrack. I never really considered Vivid Lope for a full episode of the show. It was like a prime contender to me for a mini episode, but you brought it up, the idea of doing it as a main episode. I'm like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's bring some more Vivid Lope awareness to the world.
Hell yeah, dude. It's a great game, great soundtrack. I'm excited for that.
With all of that said, then, all we have left are the haikus.
That's right. I guess I'll start with mine. I, full disclosure, wrote this like 5 minutes before we linked up to record today. So this is a pretty hastily written haiku, and you can kind of tell that I started in one place and ended up somewhere else. So here we go. Her ponytail hums through trees silent under ice, waking up the wild.
Well, okay, so here's what's funny with this. I made my haiku also about the same character you did.
Okay.
Or base it around the same character, inspired by the same character. My like stomach about dropped out of itself because I thought this was going to go the same way that I went with. I'll let you hear it, I guess. Falling to my death, I whip my hair back and forth. She is Monkey Bae.
I was waiting for it. I dropped a Monkey Bae at the beginning of the episode too, by the way.
No, I noticed. We were just already talking about so much incest, I had to keep us moving. Just real quick, we can elaborate a little bit. We mentioned that the All In podcast, you used to host that with Eric for years and years.
Yeah.
One of the later episodes of the entire show, it was the three of us talking about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And if I remember correctly, we were recording that at like 6 a.m. my time. And so like midnight, you and Eric's time are around there late. And sometimes with All In, that show is much more scripted than Bit Harmony is.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when we would start like riffing off of each other, Eric's riffs were a bit different than ours. And when we were talking about we're talking about our favorite, Kong character in Tropical Freeze, and all three of us were like, oh yeah, like Dixie Kong is hands down the best. And then out of nowhere, Eric just starts going, she's Monkey Bae. She's Monkey Bae. And I have a hunch that Eric doesn't even remember saying that. I think about this all the time. I think about Monkey Bae every day of my life because I was so tired and we were doing this long Tropical Freeze podcast, and to be confronted with she's Monkey Bae, she's Monkey Bae, she's Monkey Bae. I was in this exact spot. I was staring out the window, bleary-eyed at 6 a.m, and I'm just like, wow, what's going on right now?
It really is one of the craziest things I've ever heard somebody say. And that's with all love to Eric. I'm not saying that to throw shade at all.
I want to make it perfectly clear that it's not like no one was mad, no one was upset.
Right.
It's just that the way it hit me at 6 a.m. recording that podcast, I was just like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, it was early and late for everybody, and like just the energy was like real goofy and tired.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he just kind of he spit that out. I remember, I think he's like, she is Bae, she's Monkey Bae.
Yeah.
And like, I remember hearing that and being like, dude, like what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And that has there are a few little Eric quotes that have lived in my head rent free for years and years, and that's one of them. Yeah.
My wife has never listened to an All In podcast, and sometimes she'll hit me with she's Monkey Bae. So yeah, again, I want to make clear there's no shade.
Not making fun of them. It has given us a lot of joy.
It is pure love. It is pure Monkey Bae over here. Don't worry about it. Monkey Bae has given me a lot of joy over the years. The fact that I can even say over the years is very scary with that. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, let's.
Your outro is Frosty Fruits. Just go listen. We're getting out of here. I'm going to go eat dinner.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye. my wife handed me some grapes. Let me just chew on these real quick.
You have to put that after the ending. You have to UFO.